What is going on, guys? Oh, man. Do we got some stuff to talk about today? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Woo! All right. Well, let's see who's here. Let's see who's talking. Let's see who's in the chat. What's up, Blop? What's up, Deck? What's up, Mike? What's up, Jeremy? Roxanne? What's up, Alan? Silent Siren. What's up, Silent? What's happening, Linda? You like that song? That's right. Who knew when we made that opening that was going to be as true as it was? Whew. I mean, most of us did. There's a lot of people out there that didn't, though, huh? A lot of people out there that didn't. All right. Well, guys, this is what's going on. We made a video, and we're going to lose some subscribers for it. And that's okay. Because, as I've said before, the left needs to grow a backbone, and the left needs to change up the rhetoric and the bullshit. So that's what we're here to do. We made a video about our queen, Jasmine Crockett, and let's just go ahead and let's start this stream off right by explaining something. Look, there are rules to engagement when it comes to talking shit, okay? And that means that if you roll up and you've got something on your mind and you want to talk about taking away women's rights, you want to talk about taking away my daughter's rights, my wife's rights, you want to talk about, you're going to get rid of the DEI, you're going to roll back discrimination, you fair game. You're fair game. That's the way it is. Because where I come from, you know what we say? We used to say, if you feel froggish, go ahead and leap. But if you leap up, you better be ready to be smacked down, because that's how it works. And we're Philly fans over here, okay? We're Philly fans over here. If you expected anything different from this channel, you are on the wrong channel, my friends. You have came to the wrong place. We like to laugh. We like to have fun. But you know what? We talk some shit here too. And you know what? I'm here for that. I'm here for that because let me explain something to you. It's never been about transgender people against heterosexual people. It's never been about the disabled versus us. It's never been about all this bullshit that they want you to believe, that they want you to section you off and have you fight over. It's never been a culture war. It's always been a class war. And at the end of the day, what we do here, we ain't falling for that bullshit. We ain't getting gaslit. We ain't going to be sitting here calling out other people on the left that make soft-ass jokes about some dude that decided that he was going to take the stance that he's going to take away people's rights and we're going to just sit around and just accept it. That ain't happening here. That ain't happening here. And I got something for you guys. I want to play a video for you here real quick here in a second after I say hi to the people joining the chat. What's up, Ann? What's up, Nana? What's going on, Kay? What is going on? We got something for them, all right? I want to play a video for you because this is exactly how I feel about this right here. Let me go ahead and help you guys out. And I'm going to play you something. I want you to hear this, okay? Because this is how I feel about this.
No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care.
That's right.
Philly, fucking Philly.
No one likes us. We don't care. Fuck Greg Abbott. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. All right. Just want to get that out of the way. Make sure there's no misunderstandings. Make sure everybody knows what this channel stands for. This channel isn't about all that bullshit. We ain't gonna sit around. We ain't gonna sit here letting people talk shit. We ain't talking about when they go low, we go high. Okay? You come into this chat, every person knows it. When you come into this chat and you talk some shit, I talk some shit right fucking back to you. Because that is the energy. You can't defeat what's going on today with kindness. You can't. We've proven over how many years now that no matter how much you try to be the nice person, no matter how much you try to treat those people with respect, they ain't changing. They part of a cult. And you know what? You go ahead and you take a look at all those people online on X right now. And you tell me, are they saying anything different than anybody else? No, they're all saying the same thing. Repeating, regurgitating the same bullshit about Jasmine Crockett. Well, I ain't here for that. And I ain't here to admonish nobody on the left for standing up and saying, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck your feelings. Go ahead. Go be mad. Just be mad over the fuck over there. Because you don't want to be over here and be mad. Mad is what I do. All right? People, you know, a couple times now, we were just on the 21st century suffragettes, right? And they say something that a lot of people say when they get me on their show. They say, you know, like, Angry Ginger, but, you know, like, you're laughing, you're having fun, you're enjoying your time. You're not so angry to me. Well, you know what? I'm all about balance in this life. I'm all about balance. I think there needs to be balance in everything, okay? And when it's time to be angry, when it's time to be mad, oh, I'm completely fucking capable, all right? And you don't come stomping on the people I love. You don't come talking shit about the people I love and think that you're gonna have a quiet ginger that just sits around and just goes, you know what? We don't want them. We don't want to feel like we're insulting people like they do. No, I grew up in the ghetto. I've been insulting people my whole fucking life. Roll up, get made fun of. That's what the fuck happens. You don't want people to talk shit about you. You don't talk shit. That's the rules. Those are the rules of engagement. So, Jasmine Crockett, that's my fucking queen right there. What's happening, Bucket? Bucket in the house. That's right. Governor Hot Wheels ass, okay? What's up, Mitchell? Swift! Welcome to the Angry Ginger Army. Welcome. Did the Eagles go to the White House? They're probably going. God damn it. It's just there's Trump, there's the cult is thick, okay? The cult is thick. There's probably a couple of them in there. I'm going to guess that certain people ain't going to go. Certain people are. It is what it is. I'll talk shit about my Eagles too, so. If anybody wasn't here for the regular season, all right, I talk shit about my Eagles too. Every day of the week. They no doubt. Oh, we got one other here. Hold on. We're gonna get us a copyright for a second, because this is what I got to say about this right here, okay? This one right here. This is how we feel about that, okay? You got a problem? You got a problem? That's the way it fucking goes. You don't like it? Squabble up. All right. I'm going to try not to be so angry now. What's up, Christina? What up, Oz? What up, Phildo? What up, Mitchell? Yeah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that. Nope. This side of the tracks, you want to talk shit? Squabble up. That's the way it fucking works. All right, guys. Let's watch some videos. Let's have a good time, but I had to get that out of the way. Make sure everybody understands the energy on this side, okay? What up, Nina? Like, that's the energy. We don't play that bullshit here, okay? Because they are not like us, okay? All right, today Today, guys, we're going to be checking out this Bernie Sanders rally. My dude Phildo right there, Phildo News. If you don't know, you need to go subscribe to Phildo News' channel. Phildo did the boots on the ground and went out there and made a video showing exactly how long the lines are for Bernie Sanders at AOC. Phildo, they didn't even get to go in because there's so many goddamn people. But go watch that video because all these people... Right now, I just saw another poll talking about who is and who isn't popular. And look, I love Kamala Harris. I love Kamala. But it's time for people to listen to their constituents. And it's time to listen to the people that are out there with their voices saying, we love Bernie. We love AOC. And look, I know Bernie said it. Bernie said, what do you say? He said he's 84 or whatever. He said, I'm tired. I'm tired. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? I'm tired. It don't have to be Bernie Sanders, but it damn sure could be somebody that has Bernie Sanders values. It damn sure could be an AOC. It damn sure can be a Jasmine Crockett. You know why? Because if this country is ever going to get over its concerns about you know, well, we don't want to take too much. We got to keep the balance. We got to keep the decorum. We got to be polite. Oh, by the way, if any fucking Democrat votes to censure Jasmine Crockett or that shit, I will fucking roast him on this fucking channel. I already had one on Al Green, okay? You done fuck with Al Green. First of all, Al Green, the Reverend Al Green, one of my favorite. He played at my wedding. It was a CD. I'm not gonna lie, it was a CD. But my father-in-law said we can get you a live band. I said, why would I ever want a live band when I can have Al Green? But his namesake, when he was just censured, every one of those Democrats, fuck you. I hope you get primaried. I hope you get primaried because fuck your decorum. We ain't polite no more. That ain't happening. But if I see a Democrat voting to censor Jasmine Crockett, I'm going to roast their ass on this channel. It's going to happen. So we got Bernie Sanders talking about the Bernie Sanders rallies going on. This is on a Mother Jones video. We got Walter Masterson. I don't think I ever really played Walter on here. There's too many good left-wing people out there to cover it all, right? But we gotta branch out sometimes. So Walter Masterson, we got Walter Masterson getting kicked out of a Republican town hall. You know what I'm saying? That's the good stuff right there. That's it right there. We got Trey Crowder talking about the mishap. You guys that watched my video know about the Atlantic article that came out about Jeffrey Goldberg being added. I was going to say accepted, but he didn't even ask to be invited. Being added to a chat, a Signal chat with a bunch of classified information. And my dude, Jeffrey Goldberg, just said, oh, you know what? You guys thought that I wouldn't share those texts? Oh, he did. Oh, he did. Okay. And if you're out there right now and you're going, well, is it smart for him to share those texts? Won't he become the enemy of Donald Trump? He was already the enemy of Donald Trump. And you know what? In my interview with Clay Risen, I told him, I said, man, more than anything, I want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate journalists that are still doing the job. I appreciate journalists that aren't bending the knee. I appreciate you for doing your work. And I appreciate Jeffrey Goldberg for saying this. He said, I'm not going to be scared because that's not the job of a journalist. A journalist shouldn't be scared. So if they're going to put me in jail, I guess they're going to put me in jail. That's what's going to happen. Because that's what real journalists do. They speak out on injustice. They report what the fuck is going on. And he shared that. He shared that. He decided to tell everybody exactly what was in that chat. And was it a trap? Was it set up so that way Jeffrey Goldberg could share those text messages and then he could get in trouble for potentially sharing classified information? Maybe it was. But you know what? Every time that something like this has happened in our society, every time that this has happened in America, someone has had to stand up, make their voice heard, and say to people, you know what? Yeah, I might lose on this one. This might be my L. but hopefully it's your W. Hopefully you take up what I did, my sacrifice, and you do something with it. So, big up to fucking Jeffrey Goldberg for that. What's up, Gulf Marine? Yeah, and they stifling Tim Walz too. Tim Walz out there talking too. Okay? What's happening, Gnome Dome? $20. Go check out the Phildo News. This fan put in the legwork and went to the end. The oligarch rally. Visit their channel to see the proof of the support for the leftist ideals in America. Exactly. Good people support good people. And if the left, who gets to benefit from that empathy? Because if you're using it right, if you're using it for the right people, then you can form a foundation amongst the people that believe the same values as you do. But if you're going to allow that same empathy to be used against you to create a fracture within against those same people that you should be supporting, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. All right? Bucket! 10 memberships, Bucket! Thank you, Bucket. Bucket, you OG. GK, thank you. Exactly. He didn't sit on it for a book later. How many of these motherfuckers wait until they're out of office, out of the political realm, to write a book about this shit? The man did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was supposed to do. What up, GK? What up, Renee? What up, 5 Alarm? What's going on? Congrats to all the people that got a membership. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. What up, Pinkerbell? What's going on? What's up, Rusty? Yeah, now they want to censor free speech. Now all of a sudden, they ain't about it anymore. All right? Not anymore. They don't want to do that anymore. What's up, Randy? What's going on, Randy? I'm trying, Golf. I'm doing my best. So I guess we need to get to some videos. What up, Reverend? Reverend in the house. That's right. We ain't doing that bullshit, dude. We ain't following the pack. We ain't gonna sit here and say the same old dumb shit that the left's been saying for too damn long. It's time to get your shit together, folks. It's time to support the people that are out there doing the work for you. Support the Queen. Support Jasmine Crockett. Make your fucking voice heard. Be all up on Twitter. I saw a quadriplegic dude. He said, I don't give a shit. He said his name is Governor Hot Wheels to me now from now on. Then he shared a meme. He said, no, I think I like this one better. It said, how about we call him Adolf Hitler? Okay? That's what I'm talking about. It's not about disabled people versus us. Nah, that ain't what it's about, like I said. But everybody gets the goddamn smoke. It don't matter if you're black, white, trans, gay, straight, bald, ginger. If you're going to try and take the rights of the people I love, then I'm going to talk shit about you. And I don't care whose feelings that hurts. I don't care if it hurts people on the right's feelings. I don't care if it hurts people on the left's feelings. None of that shit matters. You talk shit about the people I love, you get shit talked about you. That's how it fucking works. Adolf Hitler ass. All right, well let's check this out. Oh yeah, and I had this one also. I don't want to forget this one too. So I have the Humanist report also queued up because I'm talking some shit. So I thought this was a good time to have it. The Humanist report put out a video called "The Next Generation of Democrats Are Pissed Off and Bringing the Heat to Feckless Leaders." That's right. Don't let him fucking do it to you, Jasmine. Don't let him stand 10 toes down on that shit. You made a joke about that motherfucker and he deserved it. Fuck that. Let's go. All right, guys. Here we go. We got to get Squabble Up off here. I'm going to have to cut that out. I need to get copyright. What's up, Troy Scott? Abbott should refer to himself as Hell on Wheels. I mean, it would be very pertinent. Oh, man. All right. Let's see what we got. Mike's always talking shit. I love to see it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Let's start off. Let's start off with what I'm talking about here. Let's start off with Bernie Sanders. This is a Mother Jones video. Never been to a Bernie Sanders rally like this, and that's because the people are mad. Look, it took a minute. Like I said, I feel like there's a silver lining to the bullshit. I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, you always got to look towards the positives of what the bad situation brought you. And I think what this bad situation brought about for all of us is a couple things. I think it had to make the left recognize that, you know, you got to be more human. You got to speak on the level of the people. And I also think it brought at least some people on the left. I know there's still Bernie haters out there on the left, and to them, fuck those people too, man. Like, you're going to hate on a dude that wants to get you universal health care. You're going to hate on a dude that wants to get you UBI. Like, what the fuck is wrong with your brain, dog? What the fuck is wrong with your brain? So, let's watch this video. Let's watch. I've never been to a Bernie Sanders rally like this from Mother Jones. Thanks for being here, guys.
You know, do people
Yeah,
get?
I have, as a matter of fact.
Do people get what you're talking about now in a way?
$8 an hour is what I'm worth.
Ah, shit, you just gotta give me. They gotta add music.
Family of four can't live that way.
I guess we ain't get monetized with this video. It's
American
alright, we got
people
some money.
Will not allow Donald Trump to create an oligarchy in America.
That's extreme. That's extreme, guys. We can't go that far. All right? He's going too far by saying that we got to do something about this oligarchy. I'm not even talking about the right wing right now. I'm talking about people on the left. His ideas are too extreme.
We are on our way to Catalina High School in Tucson for
mad
the
scientist on a
Fight
drug.
Oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We saw them speak a couple of days ago, and it was completely
Oh, is
packed.
this,
I've
this
been
is
to
it, huh?
at least a dozen Bernie rallies, probably a lot more since he started running.
Is this your spot? Is this your spot, Phildo? This looks real familiar. This looks like I think they might have stole your video, Phildo. I think that man in that car right there, probably a Prius. Okay, I think he stole your video.
In 2015, and the crowd is a lot different. People not coming out, you know, for a specific candidate, you know, per se. People coming out because they wanted to be a part
Oh, I'm drinking out of my cup.
a movement
For the
that's
queen.
fighting back.
This is
And it
for
was
the queen,
really the kind
right
of
here.
like
Okay.
vibe.
Okay, that's for the
and-
queen.
And energy that I hadn't seen at a Democratic political event in quite some time. You know, but I think like his message really has caught on in a way, because the things that he's been talking about in terms of oligarchy for decades are now the things that are just kind of like the text of American politics. I mean, you don't need a clearer example than Elon Musk. And so I'm just, you know, looking to talk to people about, you know, how they're feeling, about
Nice.
how they're looking to get involved, about who they're angry at.
What an oligarchy
Nice.
is about
Those are dope.
is a handful of billionaires controlling our government.
How do you feel about how the Democratic Party has kind of responded in the last few months?
How can I be polite? I'm fucking pissed.
Exactly. There you
I
go.
think they need to start speaking up and standing out, and that's another reason I'm here with Bernie, is because he's not afraid to speak his mind.
Yep.
And this being nice
Yep.
and business as usual and following all the rules is just not acceptable anymore. Things have to change.
There
Have
you
you been
go.
a Sanders supporter in the past?
Actually, no.
I think you see right now just like
That's what I'm talking about. Actually, no. Look, I've told you guys this multiple times on this stream. You know, I was part of that problem. Part of the people that's like, oh, you can't talk about free college. You know, brainwashed just like everybody else. Brainwashed by corporations. Brainwashed by billionaires. Fuck, I grew up as poor as you can in this country. I still believe the same shit. Bernie's ideas are extremes. He's going to take more of my tax dollars, dude. Oh my God. Like, this shit is a waking up moment for many people. A lot of people are recognizing that they were taken for granted, the discourse of prior, administrations. Like I said, you're looking for silver linings. Donald Trump decided he was going to bring forth this type of rhetoric, and it made a lot of people recognize, oh shit, if we don't do something about this, a voice like Donald Trump's can rise on the other side and take us completely the wrong fucking way. And Bernie stands for the exact opposite of that. And that's why people are waking up and people are saying, you know what? This old dude right here, this mad scientist, seems to be actually making some goddamn sense. 5-alarm fire? $20? Monetizing my live stream. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll keep Squabble Up on. We'll just keep squabbling as long as it don't get me a strike. I told you guys, I already got a warning from making that video about Donald Trump sucking Elon's toes. YouTube apparently not real happy when I make videos about Donald Trump sucking Elon's toes. The knee bending is getting out of control nowadays. Thank you so much, 5-alarm. Thank you so much. $20. That's what I'm saying. $20 definitely make me holler. Okay. Big booty Latinas get to stay. Now, hold on. Troy might be onto something. What if we started a group, a committee of sorts, a pack for big booty Latinas? Okay. I think that that's something that across the country, regardless of who you are, if you are seeing big booty Latinas getting deported from this country, you are sad. Okay, I don't give a fuck if you're a redneck in the deepest of red states. You see a big booty Latina being put on a plane and sent to El Salvador, you're going to have a problem, all right? You're going to be mad about that, okay? You're not going to be getting them Instagram reels anymore with them big booty Latinas if they all get deported. Just saying.
5 white men ruling the country.
You see all these mega rich billionaires coming to the support of Donald Trump. And they're stripping, like I said, they're stripping away the rights of the common person and hoarding all the wealth and kind of controlling everything.
Just thousands of people in line. We've talked to people who left at 5 a.m. to get ready to go here. We talked to people who've drove 15 hours. It's really giving these, big popular movement vibes. Like, it reminds me of a Tea Party rally from 2010 that I went to in Nevada, Searchlight, Nevada, where people were camping in the desert overnight. It's that kind of energy.
Women
We woke
don't
up
know
at
you
6.
shit.
Yeah, we made sure to get here. We want to be front and center.
I feel that we are headed towards the very scary early stages of an oligarchy. We are seeing subtle changes, or not even really subtle, these big changes coming out. For example, signing in executive orders that you don't even have the legal power to do so of. And and hearing things like, oh, if you vote for me, you'll never have to vote again. Hearing things like planning to run for a third term. It's just really, really scary to hear those kinds of things. We're living in a time.
Yeah, and you know what? The number of times now I've asked somebody if they know who Curtis Yarvin is and they've had a blank stare on their face. You gotta wake up. You gotta wake up. People think that that's conspiracy theory. You claim that these other people are conspiracy theory. No, look, I've never disagreed with right-wing people when they say that left-wing people have a plan for the country. Of course they do. So do right-wing people. Right-wing conservatives have a plan for the country. Left-wing Democrats have a plan for the country. And guess what? Oligarchs 100% have a plan for this country. That's what they do. They sit around and they plan shit. Whether it's how to make more money or how to get more authority, that's what they're good at. And if you don't wake the fuck up and start actually paying attention to what the fuck's going on, if you don't know who Curtis Yarvin is, then you better look up his name. If you don't know what Peter Thiel's attachments to J.D. Vance are, you better look that up. If you don't know why every one of these techno-oligarchs all of a sudden went from hating Donald Trump to loving Donald Trump, and how Donald Trump went from hating all these techno-oligarchs to all of a sudden loving all these techno-oligarchs, you better look that shit up. Because it's happening right fucking now. Right in your face. If they can do it right in your face and you still don't speak up, then there is no hope for you.
Time where rich people are just taking over the government. I don't
Thanks,
understand
Pep
what's
Talks.
going on.
We are in
Don't
the
forget to go
second
subscribe to
Gilded
Pep
Age.
Talks.
You know, we are being screwed
Thanks for
over
the raid, dude.
by wealthy CEOs that think they can keep stealing more from hardworking
Peter
people.
Thiel's a weird-looking ass
I
man.
actually left my second job today.
I get it.
Around 4 a.m. I haven't slept. I'm here because it's something that we got to do.
I'm here to remind you that we are not powerless in this moment.
Before AOC gets to talking, let me just say this one. I'll give you one quote. I'll give you one quote from Curtis Yarvin. And if it doesn't make your butthole pucker a little bit, you're not listening. He said, this is something that he admits to saying, and he says over and over again. America needs to get over its fear of dictatorship. They need a monarch to rule their country. And Curtis Yarvin is Peter Thiel's house philosopher. And Peter Thiel is the biggest backer of J.D. Vance. And Curtis Yarvin called it in 2022 when he said that Donald Trump will not be a real president. He will hire a CEO to run his government while he is a TV president. Curtis Yarvin. Look that shit up. My Tesh. Dude, I didn't even see you. You came in hot. 20 memberships. Thank you, my man. My Tesh. I gender neutral. I gotta use gender. I don't know, man. My lady, my person, my angry ginger army. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Tamara, what's happening, Tamara? I appreciate seeing all of you guys in here. Appreciate the Arizona state flag has no business going that hard. Oh, man. Yeah, and then Curtis Yarvin, Phildo says Peter Thiel is also very close to Elon. And then Curtis Yarvin claims he has no interactions with Elon Musk. No interactions. None at all. Just he's doing all the things I wanted him to do. I don't interact with him. Peter Thiel does. Anyways, let's restart for AOC here. Because AOC, once again, and this is one, you know what? I say all the time that, I fucked up on Bernie. But I'll say this too. I was right about AOC. When AOC came in at first, she was hot. I mean, she was just flaming, just going after shit, tearing shit up. And I was like, hold on. We need a moment to be introduced, AOC. We need to know who you are. I know a lot of people that voted for you know who you are, but you got to introduce the rest of us to you. And I said, give AOC 3 or 4 years. Give her some time to learn about politics. Give her some time to learn the game. And I was like, and AOC, she's gonna be the real deal. And AOC has exceeded my wildest expectations. She has done things that I did not think she would be doing. And that's because I'm an old bald bearded ginger that's out of touch. She has a link. She has the ability to speak to the young people. She has an ability to speak to apparently Trump supporters, people that voted for Trump, that voted for AOC. If we don't start listening to these people, it ain't about America. It's about being human. If you don't start listening to these people that are talking about human rights, we are fucked. We are cooked. It doesn't matter. You want to be proletariat? You want to stand outside the factory and smoke cigarettes while you build the robots? Then go home and strap on the virtual reality machine so that way they keep you, stuck inside and not worried about what the fuck they're doing? That's what's going to happen. But if you listen to the words of Bernie Sanders, if you listen to the words of AOC, of Jasmine Crockett, and many others that are out there, Tim Walz, I keep fucking forgetting, and I need to keep saying his name because he's doing the work too. The man's so goddamn nice that I forget sometimes, to be honest. If you don't listen to him, man, then you aren't going to have the rights that you have worked so hard for in your life. Look, when we say human rights, what we're really talking about is privileges. Because in this world, there is no such thing as human rights. It's just what you work for. It's what you're entitled to. The only people that believe in the rights are the people that believe in faith. They believe they're given to them by God. You have to recognize that if you want those privileges, then you have to talk about having those privileges, why it's important. And you need to support people that want to give you those privileges. Hi. My wife just walked in. Sorry for interrupting. Thank you. Rant on.
It's something that we got to do.
I'm here to remind you that we are not powerless in this moment. People are starting to put the pieces together.
I think you can definitely see that they are the direction that the Democratic Party needs to go into. They're the only ones showing any kind of leadership.
Oligarchy. Are we in an oligarchy?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at this. Absolutely, they're not afraid to hide it. I'm actually trying.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we've found the bottom, guys. We found the bottom. Okay, if Cowboys fans have woken up. All right, guys, hold on. This is a what is it? A seminal moment. I probably didn't say that word right. If a Cowboys fan has figured out that this is an oligarchy, guys, I think we have hope. I think we have hope. All right? Sorry, Cowboys fans.
Trying to get on SSD right now. I'm disabled. I just moved here from Oregon, and now I have to deal with all that. And I hear all what's going on with what they want to do to the Social Security and then Medicare and all that. And I'm about to try to get on it. I'm real scared. I'm unemployed. I'm a veteran. It's hurting me everywhere.
I have a shrine to Hillary Clinton in my bedroom, okay? Like, I have a shrine to her. I agree with Bernie Sanders 99%, but I have not been to a Bernie rally. And I'm 100% in support of Bernie, AOC. Like, we have to do whatever we can to take back our country. I like to embrace all Democrats, even if they're scared of cats. They'll come along.
All right. I was hating on it a little bit for the shrine. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a shrine to anybody, okay? That's kind of weird to me. But, you know what? The fact that she said even the scaredy cats, she's in the army. All right. Okay. All right, she's a fighter. I don't want to go to her house. I'm afraid. I can't walk in your house and ever see any kind of shrine to anybody. I'm gonna get freaked out. Okay, all right. I love Einstein. I don't fucking have an Einstein shrine. But you know what? She saved it with the whole like embracing even the scaredy cats.
Now, some of you may remember what Abraham Lincoln said at Gettysburg. He said, "You know what? We have a vision of a country where we're going to have a government of the people, by the people, for the people."
He's been talking about oligarchy forever. And, you know, when we talked to him after the event, you know, he was making the point, like, Trump is making the case for this.
Hold on. Silent says, did y'all see Muskrat's tweet, no more loans to babies or people too old to be alive talking about Social Security? It's all a cover. It's all a cover, guys. It's just, they want the dumbest people in our society to just be okay with stripping people of their rights because it's the same playbook over and over and over again. Just use immigration as the example. You ask somebody, you say, well, hold on. Why are we deporting people that are here that aren't committing crimes? Why are we deporting people that are productive members of society? And they go, no, they're deporting criminals. That's what's happening is we're deporting criminals. And you go, okay, well, you know, they're also deporting these other people as well. And they go, well, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, a couple people that probably didn't do anything. Yeah, they're going to get deported, but also they're going to get the criminals, dude. That's the same thing they're going to say about Social Security. There's already people that have lost their benefits, that have been declared dead, that have been declared born outside the country because they're born on military bases in Germany. It's already happening. They're just going to use the same playbook. They're going to tell you at the end of the day, man, it's actually better because, you know, there's a lot of fraud going on in our Social Security system. You know where there's a lot of fucking fraud going on? In any business that billionaires are doing. It's the fucking most insane thing. And once again, I had these beliefs probably 20 years ago, probably 10 years ago. I don't want people fucking over the system. I don't want people fucking not paying their taxes. I have to pay my taxes. The poor, the middle class, the upper middle class are expected to play by the rules. And if you don't play by the rules they'll put your ass in jail or they'll take your shit away. But the billionaires, the ultra wealthy, can get away with anything and everything in this world. And if you dare speak up about it, someone right fucking next to you in the same goddamn class as you will look at you and go, yeah, well, people shouldn't be cheating the system. Oh, what about the billionaires? Oh, I mean, dude, they're billionaires for a reason. What? What? God damn it, man. It's like people just gotta fucking just think about the things. Think about the things you believe. Think about them for a minute. Ask yourself some questions.
And, you know, when we talked to him after the event, you know, he was making the point, like,
what up, Jay?
Trump is making the case for this now. Like, the things that he has kind of trying to kind of get people to pay attention to now are just there.
Fire away.
Yeah, all that fraud and no one's been arrested. Exactly,
you know,
Reverend.
People
Yeah,
get,
I have, as a matter of fact.
do people get what you're talking about now in a way that...
I'm glad you asked that. I have been talking about it because I have seen this nation move more and more to an oligarchic form of society.
Yes.
But then Trump helped me immensely in educating the American people to what oligarchy is. And I did not see the kind of response that horrific, unprecedented attack on American democracy and on the needs of working people. I didn't see people responding effectively. There are about 15, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, but about 15 congressional districts where Republicans won by small margins.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? Let's pay those communities a visit. Musk and Trump saying to anybody, you defy us? Yeah, I know you were elected by the people. Forget that. I know you have constitutional rights. Forget it. We got the money. We got the power. You vote against us. You are out of here. And that's the kind of movement we have to build where we can stand up with. And frankly, that is not easy. I mean, we are taking on everybody. Taking on the oligarchs, taking on the Republican Party, taking on the Democratic leadership, taking on the corporate media, taking on Wall Street. It ain't easy. And change is not going to happen overnight. But I get deeply inspired, not only when I hear great leaders like Greg and Alexandria speaking the way they do, but seeing 20,000 working class people coming out here today and demanding change.
Now, this was supposed to be held in a gymnasium and ended up opening up the football stadium.
And let me kind of also add on to that, talk about the billionaires as well. Phildo, welcome to the Ginger Snaps. Welcome, buddy. Oh, man, you guys are killing me. I love you guys. Let me add something on to that. I'm about to do this interview with this dude, Ronald Grunier. I don't know how to say his last name. We're going to have to ask him before we say his name on the interview. But that wrote COVID Wars, this book about all the things that happened during COVID and the misinformation and stuff. We're going to do that interview next Monday. And in his book, he has multiple instances. He's an ex-tech guy. That ran something like 4 companies, loves analytics. So he did tons of analytics on all of this stuff. And he's created his own charts. He's used information that was available to the public. And he showed how the transfer of wealth happened during COVID. How the lowest, the impoverished, on average, made something like $200 more during COVID per year because they got more stimulus, and they don't make any money, so it's pretty easy to make them make more money. The middle class, upper middle class, and lower middle class lost anywhere between, like, I think it was like -1% and -2%, right? Like they lost between 1% and 2% or 3%. And then the ultra wealthy, $2 million or more, $2 million or more in assets made they increased their total amount of money that they have by 16% during COVID. While everybody in our society was doing poorly because of how messed up things were during COVID, the wealthy, the $2 million or more, were making 16% more money. Corporations made the most money that they have made in 40 years. You can't read stuff like that and say to yourself anything other than, if COVID was a fucking scam, then it was a scam to make billionaires more wealthy. And by the way, I don't think COVID was. But I do think that the type of people that have that type of money see an instance like poor people, middle-class people getting fucked over and know how to take advantage of it. We're going to talk about that on Monday.
I mean, they're just very unafraid. They're going to these frontline Republican districts, and they're coming here early, and they're coming here loud, and they're saying, like, you're fired.
In fact,
Reverend, I'm gonna
one thing I love about Arizona is that you all have shown that if a U.S. Senator isn't fighting hard enough for you in the Senate or elsewhere, you're not afraid to replace her with one who will and win.
There you go.
So I've been to...
There you go. And something Troy just said. How come we don't just significantly increase the taxes on these rich folks? We had a Democrat in office for the last 4 years, and that never even came up. And that's it right there. Because they're also beholden to these donors. They're also beholden to these corporate interests. You know, we all saw when Luigi did his Luigiing, and Amy Klobuchar came out and you know, hey, well, let's not talk about this. Well, let's not talk about the fact that you also take money from these big pharmaceutical companies, these big healthcare companies. That's what you really don't want to talk about at the end of the day. And you know, it's a twofold problem with Democrats. They're beholden to these people, which is a problem, 100%. Bernie talks about it all the time. I do as well. I get it. It's a problem. You need money to fight against these people, right? We need the system to be changed. We need Citizens United to be overturned. We need it to be illegal, as some states are doing now, for billionaires to put money in politicians' pockets to influence elections. And the only way, as I said, this is twofold, that you get that type of change is by getting a person in office that is willing to do those things. Look, I voted for Biden. I've said nothing but good things about Biden. I've said that his domestic policy was some of the best domestic policy that we have seen in forever. I said he was a much more progressive president than I ever expected him to be, and probably more progressive than many presidents have been up to his point. But he wasn't the dude to ram it down their throat. He was still living on that whole, Trump's going to get beaten. I'll beat him again in 2024. You guys don't have to worry. I'm going to keep this sane. I'm going to keep you guys safe. I'm going to keep it stable. And then he made some mistakes. And now, because, like I said, you criticize your own. You analyze your own. You criticize the people you love, you like, the people you voted for. Because of mistakes that he made during his administration, now we need somebody a lot tougher. A lot stronger. A person who stands on the values that they run on, and it is going to say something along the lines of what Troy was just talking about there. And that is, you don't like that you're not going to put money in my pocket anymore? Don't matter. Fuck you. I'm still going to do it. Don't matter. Fuck you. I'm still going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we need. We need to get politicians in office that aren't going to just continue the status quo anymore. Decorum isn't going to work anymore. Reaching across the aisle, not going to work anymore. We ran on that, and we made baby steps because of it, and I'm appreciative of the people that did make those baby steps. When we talk about women having the right to vote, women having rights, period. When we talk about African Americans getting a better deal in this country. Did you know also in that book, all the way up until the 1970s, black women were being sterilized without them knowing about it? Did you know that, I think it was up until the 50s, that black women were being used as specimens to teach hysterectomies in clinics? The baby steps of getting out of that fucking horror film, I appreciate the people that did that before that. And I appreciate that they think that you just got to keep doing that because that's how you get there. You don't eat the elephant whole. You take bites. but that's not true anymore. There's one big ass bite of elephant that's left, and if you ain't willing to consume that, then I ain't voting for you. Because they've already shown, Trump has shown, J.D. Vance has shown, all his techno-oligarch buddies have shown that given the chance to have the power and authority to do so, they are going to change this country to be the image that they want it to be the country that they want it to be. And the left needs to wake up and recognize that if they don't put forth a candidate that says the same shit, that says, I'm going to tax the rich, and then when they get in fucking office, they go, here's my executive order, it says I'm taxing your ass. I ain't voting for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need a person in there. I'm voting in the primary for somebody that gets shit done.
To a lot of Bernie Sanders rallies, but none quite like that. His message has kind of now come into alignment with the political moment we're in. It's not just this is Bernie Sanders' ideological spiel. They want to take this feeling that people have about Trump and this new awareness of oligarchy and oligarchs and sort of concentrated power and translate that into kind of a newer direction for the Democratic Party.
And this right here was everything I needed. America, we're ready. Get ready, because we're here and we're not going anywhere.
It's good to see people excited. You know, the one thing I'll say about that, though, people are excited when Kamala ran, too, for the first little bit. It's all about messaging. You know, it don't do no good to jump out the gates hot and then to finish with a sputter. So if people are excited now, they got to recognize, like, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. We've got 2026 and we got the midterms. We've got all these small, also like the Supreme Court in Wisconsin. I'm not calling them small. I'm saying small as in they're not senators, they're not Congress people, they're not the president of the United States. But we have these other races, these smaller races in these states that need to be won. Just like that one that just got won in Pennsylvania by a Democrat in a county that Donald Trump won by 15 points. We need more of that. People need to recognize this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And I think a lot of people, when it came to Kamala, when she came out the gates, everybody was hot. Everybody was like, man, this is so good. I feel so much better. I'm so hype. And then when it came time for the election, it all sputtered out. And look, her campaign made mistakes. That fucking idiot that ran that campaign that said that we got to play between the 45s, mistakes. There were definitely some flaws in that campaign. But I think also part of the problem was that people got real hype at the beginning and were exhausted by the time election day came. They just wanted to be over. You know, they were just flinging haymakers in the 12th round. And, you know, that ain't going to get the job done. Because crazy don't know exhaustion. All right, I used to say this when I was younger. I was like, you don't really want to fight a tweaker, okay? Because you hit a tweaker and you knock them down, they get right back up, okay? They'll do that about 30 times. They might not even be able to fight well. They're just going to wear you out, all right? You might be able to whoop that tweaker's ass, but he's going to keep coming over and over and over again. And MAGA's got big tweaker vibes, okay? They are not going to get exhausted. They are going to be here 4 years from now. They are going to continue to be energized because the type of fucking mind virus they got going on, that shit keeps you going, right? It's like Hitler meth, okay? Fucking blitzkrieg. That's what they do. What's happening, AJ? All right. Let's see what's next. Let's see what's on here. I see you guys talking to each other. Good job. Big tweaker vibes. Let's watch this Masterson. Like I said, I haven't watched any Walter Masterson in a while. I saw a video of Walter Masterson a bit ago, and it cracked me up. I think he was in, like, I don't know. I'm going to make some shit up just so you guys know. Bahamas, Fiji. He was somewhere. He was on vacation. And he made a video, and it was like, I just want all the haters to know that the reason I got to take this vacation was because of y'all. That's what I'm talking about. You want to make some money? That's the way to make some money, all right? Fucking be out there, be loud, and then you deserve whatever dollars you get. Make a difference. Make a difference in society, and you deserve whatever dollars you get. Reverend says, Blitzcrack. So, Pinkerbell said Blitzcrack. Sorry, I saw that just as I was about to read this. What's up, Perry? Reverend says, 8 years of MAGA threatening civil war had nothing to do with the last election. I think, yeah. I mean, obviously, it scared some people. I do think I met some people before the election, Democrats, that were like, wouldn't it be better if Trump won just because, like, what's going to happen if Kamala wins? Won't these people, like, these people are known to do crazy shit? Like, you know, I love that they're all talking about the Tesla thing and they're like, I've never seen a Republican that's ever broken anybody's stuff or burnt anything down. And I'm like, January 6th. January 6th? January 6th. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I love that in their heads, they have created January 6th as some type of just like non-issue. That is a level of fucking cultism that like it's almost impossible for me to understand. Like I can't, like if a friend of mine does bad shit, I might back him up, but I'm generally gonna be like, bro, what, like stop doing that. I want to go to prison with you. Like, stop that shit. They're like, that shit didn't even happen. So, yeah, I think it did. I think it affected some people. I think some people were like, you know, they didn't want to, at the end of the day, they didn't want to see the country burn. They didn't want to fight. Like, a lot of us have family members. I have family members that are Trump supporters. A lot of you guys have family Trump supporters. Some of you have significant others that are Trump supporters. Nobody wanted to see that shit. Trump used bully tactics. Trump threatened that there would be violence by using indirect language, by saying things like, I don't know, like, you know, a lot of people are upset. I don't know if they say I didn't win and everybody knows I won. You know, I don't know. It might be a civil war, you know. And he used those tactics, and it definitely worked, specifically on certain Democrats. Like I said, I definitely had some friends that were Democrats that were like, I don't know, man, like, if Kamala wins, like, what happens to the country? And they didn't mean that she was going to be a bad president. So that's a solid take. It was just a sightseeing tour. Just a sightseeing tour. That's all it was. Jesus Christ. If you watch, Elle says, if you watch the press secretary address today, you know they're trying to make damn a bad, dirty word, which is fucking hilarious. Registered Democrat like it's a felony. I wouldn't be doubting that they make it a felony at one point, Elle. Just a heads up for all of us. T-Roy's got a couple family members that are Democrats. 5 alarm fire, $10. J6, you can't discuss with MAGA, as the old saying goes. Never argue with any idiot because they will drag you down their level and beat you with experience. Yeah, isn't that a Mark Twain quote? Like, never argue with a stupid person. Like, that's how, like, there's a couple questions you can ask almost any Republican, right? To determine, like, whether or not they're part of the MAGA cult or if they're a conservative, right? And the first one that you can ask most of them is, like, what did you think about January 6th? And most conservatives will say, look, like, what they did, they shouldn't have done. They'll kind of give them, like, some excuses for, like, well, you know, there does seem like there was election fraud. It did seem like, you know, like this happened or that happened. But most of them will, in the end, denounce what happened on January 6th. Because undeniably, fucking storming the Capitol to you know, attempt to, whether or not it was just a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk, or as a couple of those people definitely thought they were going to, you know, put Donald Trump back in power. Regardless, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for America. It's a bad look for everybody. You know, like, so there's a couple questions along with that you can ask people that can kind of give you an idea of what type of Republican they are, because it is a fractured party. Is MAGA different than being a Republican? Yeah, Oh, yeah. 100%. Is MAGA different than conservative? Yeah. I've said this a bunch of times on this show. There are people that voted for Trump because they're politically illiterate, therefore they don't understand policy. Those are the people that generally hear a chat like Dean or Parker's, where they say, "Give me 3 policies of Trump's that you like," and they can't name them, right? Generally, you get a person like that farmer who is like, "Man, I just work all day. I didn't know voting for Trump was going to end up getting like these grants taken away, and now I'm going to lose my farm." That's a politically illiterate Donald Trump supporter. As somebody who voted for Donald Trump because either because of the way that our society is set up, that they don't have the time, or they're exhausted, they don't look into the research, they don't care about policy, they just hear a speech and they think, "Oh, Kamala's a communist." Then there's conservatives that only vote R. So there's people that are like, "I'm not a Trump supporter, I don't like Trump, but I'm never going to vote for a Democrat." So you have people like that. And then you have MAGA. You have MAGA people that generally are part of the MAGA cult. And that is the people that say Donald Trump doesn't do anything wrong. In fact, the only thing that they'll ever admit that Donald Trump ever did wrong is they'll go, "The vaccines." And when you bring up to them, "Well, what would happen if another pandemic happened and he enforced vaccines?" And they go, "He won't do that. He won't do that." Yes, he fucking will, by the way. Yes, he will. The MAGA Republicans will generally say Donald Trump doesn't do anything wrong. They're also politically illiterate. They don't know anything about his policies. They generally give him credit for things he didn't do. A lot like what we're seeing right now. All these executive actions that we're seeing right now, Trump supporters, MAGA Trump supporters, 4 years from now will think everything that he did right now happened, even though it's been shot down by the courts. So the courts have actually came through and said, "No, you're not going to do this. No, you're not going to do this. Yes, you have to rehire these people." And 4 years from now, it's not going to matter, because all of those people are going to be like, "No, Donald Trump did all these things," because they're politically illiterate. MAGA, as a cult, generally doesn't believe that Donald Trump does anything wrong. Conservatives, who are Republican, but they only voted for an R, or they didn't vote for all because they refused to vote for a Democrat because a Democrat doesn't have the same values as they do, will not think that 4 years from now. They might justify some of the things that Donald Trump does, but for the most part, they're not as culty. And then, of course, there's fucking QAnon. QAnon is like the end of the spectrum. QAnon is like, if MAGA is a cult, QAnon is a cult on crack. Like, those people have literally said they will never vote again in any election that Donald Trump is not a part of. Those are people that believe that Donald Trump was going to... Remember when that boat got stuck in the Suez Canal, and they're like, Hillary Clinton's brought a bunch of children over in the storage sheds, and they believed Donald Trump was going to go over there, that he intentionally got that boat stuck so that we could go over there and free the children. That's QAnon. So yeah, there's a big difference. Everything's a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum. That's my problem with this world, is everybody wants to reduce things down to it's just this easy and this simple to explain, and it never is. Every single thing that we talk about, whether it's immigration or abortion or the economy or the judiciary system or progressivism or conservatism or liberalism, every one of those things are an incredibly complicated and nuanced subject. And everybody, what they want to do is they get a hold of one thing that they really, really like, or the one thing that they really, really believe it's all about, and then they latch onto it and they reduce it down to terms that fit the cookie cutter of what they believe. And I think one of the biggest problems in our society right now is that people want to, for multiple reasons. Sometimes they're lazy. Sometimes they're tired, because that's what they want you to be. They want you to be apathetic. They want you to be tired. They want you to not be able to look into these things. But where we are at in this society is that we get to a point where we reduce everything down because it feels easier to understand. But that's a lie. You don't understand it. That's why I read all these books. That's why I read about the Red Scare. That's why I read the COVID Wars book. That's why I read constantly. I just got a couple new books over here, if you guys didn't see those. At the beginning of this, I read Fahrenheit 451. I read 1984 again. I read Animal Farm. I read Brave New World. One of the reasons I read Brave New World and I read 1984 is that they have two very different outlooks on dystopia. In 1984, which is probably what we're seeing a lot of right now, very Orwellian stuff, it was much more fear tactics, anger, hate, fear of the other, control from Big Brother. In Brave New World asks a really interesting question. Can you be controlled through reward? Can you be controlled by giving you a drug? In the book, it's Soma, right? For those of you who read Brave New World. I'm losing my voice. If you read Brave New World, Soma is the other end of that. How can you be controlled by being given all the rewards that you expect? So in Brave New World, it's polyamory is completely acceptable. In fact, not being polyamory is actually unacceptable, or at least it's heavily criticized. There is a basis of eugenics. So it's the idea that people are created in test tubes, and these people that are created are laborers, and they're only happy doing labor. They're actually unhappy having to read books or be teachers. And then, you know, like over the top of all that is that anytime you feel anxiety or you're unhappy, you take Soma, and everybody has a pocket full of Soma. So my original point being that the reason I read all these books is because I wanted to get a good idea of what those people during that time period, because dystopian books are written during times that have fears of dystopia. Utopian books are written during times of great positivity, when people are feeling good about life. And I wanted to get in the head of those authors, and I wanted to know, what did they think about these times? What did they think could happen? And I wanted to read two differing accounts with different ideas. And then I went on, obviously, and I read Animal Farm as well, which we're pretty much living Animal Farm right now. The pigs are definitely in charge right now. And I'd also like to pick up The Handmaid's Tale, because I think I need to get ahead on that one time. Reverend, night buddy. What's up, fatty? What's going on? Let's watch a video instead of me just talking. Cthulhu Inc. I like your name. I like that name. That's a dope name. When was the last time people wrote utopian books? Probably right around I'd say Obama era. I mean, that was a pretty good time of like fantasy literature and stuff like that. When I talk about utopian books, I'm generally talking about like hero's journey books where the outcome's always good. Like 1984, the outcome's not good. Brave New World, the outcome's not good. Animal Farm, the outcome's not good. Generally, when I'm talking dystopian versus utopian, I'm talking about how they end. Obviously, the body of the work is also important, but I think a big determining factor of whether or not I include something as being dystopian is how it ends. And I think like a lot of the books, I'd say during the Obama era, during the Clinton era, Bush, I would even say, because a lot of those books were written during times where you might have had things in your life that weren't great, that you didn't feel super stable. But at the end of the day, you weren't in this like complete like mass psychosis, which is, like I said, what's going on right now. The mass psychosis of what Trump does by keeping people under control through fear, through anger, through hatred, through vitriol, this like constant concern. You even see it nowadays. You're going to see it pretty soon. April 2nd comes around with Liberation Day, right? Like he uses that word in a way to make it as confusing as possible for you. So when you say liberation, fuck you mean, right? Like, do you mean like things are going to be good? Because ain't nobody going to be mad if you wake up on April 2nd and fucking everybody's got equal rights. Ain't nobody going to be mad on April 2nd if we wake up and Roe v. Wade is the law of the land again and women have access to healthcare and aren't dying in parking lots. You know, like, what do you mean by Liberation Day? And he does that on purpose. And I'm not even going to say that it's Trump. I'd imagine it's somebody around Trump that's a lot smarter than Trump. As I pointed out multiple times, Trump's a moron. He's not a very smart person. His ideas are fucking dumb. They're all bad. But when we talk about tactics that are used, fear, anger, hatred, vitriol, to control people, we're talking 1984. And it's very, very dystopian. I've read Anthem. I've read, no, sorry. I read a different Ayn Rand book. Did I read Anthem? It's upstairs. I can't remember which one I read. Is it the one where the guy at the beginning goes down into the sewer and he's reading the books where nobody can see him? I like, once again, like I said, I don't know that I'd consider that dystopian because of the way it ends. I mean, it's more, I think, of a warning towards certain things. Let's watch this video. I'm just going to rant on books all day. You guys got me talking about books. So I'll just sit here and talk about it. Like, half the chat is left because they're like, fucking books, dude. Why are we talking about books? Because if you don't talk about books now, you ain't ever going to get talking about it again. So better get that shit out now. Let's watch Walter Masterson. This video is Walter Masterson. MAGA attacks protesters at Republican Town Hall. He is the protester, I'm pretty sure.
I just want to thank everyone here. Thank you for his support of Doge. Thank you for defunding Medicaid, Social Security. Those grandmothers don't need all that money. They can just buy dog food. Thank you everyone here for supporting President Musk, and a corporate oligarchy. You've done a great job. You're all true patriots. Get the fuck out of here. Wait.
I'll tug of war. This is what I'm talking about. It's about being fucking ornery. It ain't about being nice, dog. Like I said, time to squabble up. It's time to squabble up. I come from a different place. When it came time, well, we did what we had to do.
This action just went from being an 85% chance of getting into the room to a 10% chance, but we might be able to still get some. So they met us at our meetup spot and then they trailed us to the hotel. So we're going to try our best to get everybody in. That 85% chance of getting into that room has now dropped to probably about 10%, but we're going to try our best.
So what you're saying is I am going in first and you guys are behind me.
And then we just keep going after you.
I mean, the whole plan is that we scatter to get into the room. Like you can scatter and then meet on the stage. Let's just assume they don't know all.
Dude, this is some special ops shit. I wonder if they got Jeffrey Goldberg in the chat. I wonder if they included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in this conversation. Some details are getting lost in the signal chat as the Atlantic journalist is taking them down in notes right now. $20? Gnome Domed. You guys are fucking killing me tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. $20. Elbows up. That's right. Fucking defend the box. Defend the box. Oh, thank you so much, Gnome. Thank you.
All of our faces. They're expecting a group, so don't give them a group. They're just looking for people with blue hair at that point.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, right? They're cops. They're just going to grab anyone with blue hair and, keffiyeh or something.
Dude, I literally thought that. Oh, that's hilarious that he said that. I was so going to say, I hope none of them have blue hair.
Might be speaking in the next 5 minutes. So whatever we're gonna have to make a plan in the next 3 minutes.
I say we just bum rush.
I think yeah.
Okay, first of all, Walter Masterson might look like he might have smoked some ganja before he did this, and I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, me myself, I want to be clear-headed going into this shit, right? I don't know if you can be get smoking off the bong. Well, I guess kids don't do that anymore, right? What is it? It's hitting the Benjamin. That's what you guys call it now. Hitting the Benjamin. I don't know if you should be hitting the Benjamin before you're doing the OPSEC.
So today we're going to congratulate Congressman Lawler for supporting Doge. These old people say they can't
put the
afford
glasses
food
on. Good
without
call.
Social Security, but that's not true because
it's always a good
dog
idea,
food
Angela.
costs $2 at the supermarket. Yes, the police are there. Yes, they know what we're doing. So they don't know anything about preventing us from doing the nonviolent protest. That isn't a crime at all, but it sort of is a crime, I guess. I guess it depends on what you're protesting. You know, if you're protesting a genocide, that's a crime. We're just, protesting Doge. I guess you could call that a crime too. But
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Directly link it.
You gotta be careful.
You can't directly link it to Hamas just yet. Give it a few months.
We don't have any Hamas flyers on us.
Yeah, give it a few months. That dude kind of looks like Hassan. Like a skinny Hassan. Skinny Hassan has infiltrated the building. What's up, Janelle? You should have pretended to be Elon.
But the issue at hand has been...
I'm not doing it. No, I paid to be here. Thank you. No.
The issue at hand...
It's the only way you can get past these people. You're like, no, I gave somebody money. If you're ever stopped by anybody in Trump's administration, just give them money. That's how you do it. They're like strippers. You just tuck the money in there, and then they're just like, it's all good. Would you like to see me do a dance? I do dances for money. I do. I've got a golden toilet, and I will dance on it for you for $20 and some classified documents.
I just want to thank everyone here. Thank you for his support of Doge.
Nice.
And thank you for defunding.
And you can always tell the people that, like, they're not real MAGA style, right? Like this poor gentleman that walked up, and I'm saying poor gentleman, don't get me wrong, I think he's a douchebag.
I just want to thank everyone here. Thank you for his support.
This dude right here, he's like doing the cut it. He's giving him like the timeout, okay? And Skinny Hassan's coming up with him, okay? First of all, Skinny Hassan, good move. Look at that route. I'll tell you this, guys, right now, okay? Everybody knows the pick play, okay? Good pick play. This guy is distracted while Skinny Hassan makes his move. Very good. Well planned out. Very good. You can tell this guy hasn't been like a lot of MAGA events because his ass tried to give him like the timeout. He was like, just like, if we could stop Walter, that would be great. Alan Hinkle, 1999. Is that a lemon in a bush? I'm going to have to go get one of my kids. Strippers got more class than these guys. 100%. I'll need to go get one of my kids to decipher what the lemon emoji means because, I found out probably like a year ago what the eggplant emoji means. That was awakening for me.
Support of Doge, and thank you for defunding Medicaid. You've done a great job. Medicaid, Social Security. Those grandmothers don't need all that
it's
money.
Mike Lawler.
They do not need, you know what, they can just buy dog food.
What should we do?
They can just buy all the dog food. Let's all suck off President Musk. We're all defunding everything.
Hold on.
Get out of here.
Can't do that.
Hold on. Did he say suck off President Musk? Holy shit. Did he say suck off Elon Musk?
I'm not. I have freedom of speech.
I love this generation of Democrats. Timu Hassan, Wish Hassan.
Get out of here.
Oh, shit.
Thank you for helping to defund all of Social Security, Medicaid.
Oh, yeah! Fucking wrestle! Let's wrestle!
Calm down. This is not the...
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is why I can't go to shit like this. Cause I'm pulling guard and somebody's going into a fucking guillotine like right away. Like you're picking a flopping body up off me. I'm sorry, but the moment some dude puts his hands on me, dog, that we going straight for a double leg. I'm crawling all up on you. I'm putting on a north-south. You got your arm all up here, just going, what the fuck happened to me? I can't be involved in this shit. Like everybody I know knows. Everybody I know knows. Like I came up here when I was younger, okay? I was out of the ghetto, and I came up here, and I had a friend. He didn't know the way that we behaved, and he gave me one of these, like kind of pushed me in the chest, and I tackled his ass into a closet, okay? And everybody looked at me crazy, and they were like, what the fuck, bro? And I was like, oh, you guys don't do that here? Oh, okay, that's my bad. Sorry about that, bro. Sorry about your head wound. I'll go stand over there with the beer next to the keg.
Wait for the Lawless!
Have you noticed?
Here you go.
Come on.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Stop doing the bidding of corporate landlords. Start doing the bidding of the people. Shame on you.
Lawless.
Hold on, is one of the dudes on the side clapping this shit?
Thank you, everyone here, for supporting President Musk, and the corporate oligarchy. You've done a great job. You're all true patriots.
Get the fuck out of here.
Michael Lawler is also fucking over New Yorkers, passing the Limit Save Grow Act, which expands work requirements for SNAP. Work requirements don't
if they wrestle the old man down, that's going to be a problem.
It keeps eligible people from acquiring assistance and
nice.
drive people deeper into poverty.
Yeah, give them the facts. They're going to shout you down for that.
You just want to keep the poor, making the rich richer. Shame on you.
We care so much about children.
See, I'm eyeing
That's why
that
they're getting rid of SNAP benefits.
Yeah? Yeah? You want it? You want to try this?
All right, so we're all paying every day.
Hey, look!
You gotta bring at least one old person with you. You gotta bring one old person, maybe a person with only one arm. Like this is optics, guys. Okay, look, we're gonna have to talk about this. Let's talk about optics. Okay, you bring one old person, one small woman, and a person with like one arm. Okay, and it's even better if the person with one arm can actually fight, because it's gonna be double if they try to attack the amputee and then the amputee whoofs their ass. All right, we're gonna get double. All right, we're gonna get both. They attacked an amputee and also they got their ass whooped by a dude with one arm. Like this is called game planning, guys. This is strategizing.
Lawler,
Walter Masterson should have talked to me.
Put people over profit. Hey, Lawler, get
Golf.
off it. Put people over. Hey, Lawler, get off
Oh, he couldn't even get away from that girl. He couldn't even get away from her. Oh, sir. Calm down. You're going to break your hip.
Get off it. Put people over profit. Hey, Lawler,
Dude. I'm like, push me, bruh.
Put people over profit. Hey, Lawler. Shame on you for supporting this message.
Profit. Hey, Lawler.
Put people over profit.
Nice.
Hey, Lawler.
Get off it. People over profit.
Hey,
Lawler. Get off it. Hey.
Oh, they don't like it. Oh, they don't like it.
Doge. 3 cheers for corporate oligarchy.
Fuck the people!
Yeah.
That's
Let's
right.
suck off President Musk. Just to show you, cops don't prevent anything. I'm actually happy in this case.
Go back to the cars to the Westgate Hotel and get in and go.
Danielle, what about getting assaulted?
It's only assault when we do it against them.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not when the other people attack us.
I got punched in the face. He punched me in the chest.
I know. He punched you. You were standing next to me, and he punched you.
He punched me.
I think that's fucking weird. He literally punched you into me.
Yes.
No. Where's?
Look, the DV instincts kicked in. Okay, he's like, you look like my wife.
How dare you?
Where's the women in this?
Where's the women?
Yeah.
He's like,
Good job. Give me a hug. There you go.
Hey, thanks, Walter.
There you go.
Good job.
Long time no see. How you doing, man?
Okay.
Good.
All right. But you saw that, right?
I hope I have all
wish
of
us
it
on,
on
dude.
camera.
Good job. Nice.
As I'm editing this video, I'm seeing calls by top Democrats on the Senate Intelligence Committee calling for Hegseth and Waltz to resign for their group chat. On Ground News, you can see that with this story. Left-leaning media headlines are highlighing how Senator Mark Warner called these discussions careless and incompetent. Meanwhile, other sources are calling out Trump and Trump officials trying to downplay the whole war plans group chat and how they're actually calling the whole convo deep and thoughtful.
I'm gonna play the
and let's not
Hegseth
forget
clip.
they're
After this,
trashing the journalists that exposed all of this. While right-wing media is continuing to double down on how no classified information was leaked. I mean, yeah, they just, the planes they were using, the country they were bombing.
He literally just released all those texts today.
The past few months, absolute chaos. It feels like you wake up every morning and there's something new. And let's be real, it's probably going to be like this for at least the next 4 years. Fingers crossed if we get to have elections again. And that's why I use Ground News. I don't want to get caught up in the bias and media manipulation.
Dude, if Joe Biden and his administration did what Pete Hegseth and those guys did, MAGA would be losing their fucking minds. And you know what? I would agree with them. If that shit was plastered across a fucking app where they accidentally brought a journalist into it, I would also be like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? But that's the difference between being in a cult and not being in a cult. Is when you're in a cult, you make excuses for things that should be blatantly nonpartisan. The fact that they accidentally included a journalist in a OPSEC chat, which is a really weird thing to say in the first place. OPSEC chat? What the fuck are we doing? It should be a non-partisan issue. And if you think that there is nothing to be seen there, you're in a cult. Just a heads up.
Their app and website allow you to see multiple perspectives, which help spot hidden biases or blind spots that may shape your understanding. Ground News shows you each source's political bias and, most importantly, who owns the publication. So if you want to get all sides to every story in U.S. politics and more, go to groundnews.com/Walter, or by clicking on the link in the description, or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Using my link gets you 40% off the Vantage plan, same plan I use. So remember, go to groundnews.com/Walter to subscribe.
Thanks
and now
for being
back
here,
to your regular
Appreciate
programming.
Thanks for all the love, dude.
That was a lot.
That was fucking insane.
So it's really funny. I walk up and one of the event organizers is like, nope, don't do it. I was like, I have a ticket. And he's like, no.
Dude, so that's what it is. I bet they recognized him. So like a lot of these guys, like Luke Beasley was complaining about that towards the end of the election cycle, that too many people were recognizing him. All of these guys, and now they're getting recognized. Now all the people, I'm sure when that dude showed up, he's like, oh, fuck, no, not this guy. And you know what? That's the reaction you should get. If you are on the left and they're asking you to come in like Jenks ass, like if they're giving you a beer and offering you a seat, that means that you're not scary to them. That means you don't worry them. If they meet you at the door and go, no, you're not doing this right here, that means they know. That means they know, and that's the reaction they should have. Jenks should go ahead and watch this video of Walter Masterson and go ahead and take a couple hints, couple tips from Walter Masterson, because that is how they should.
No, you don't. I rejected your ticket, and I was like, I'm actually thankful they said that, because we were having a whole back and forth. I was like, did they reject my ticket because I don't live here, or did they just flag the name? And I was like, they think they just flagged the name.
They probably fucking knew who you were.
Because I used the alias. And honestly, good on them. They know my aliases. Like, honestly, good on y'all for knowing the aliases. Like, honestly, I got to take a basketball, so this is my level of spec.
Maybe they should be maybe they should be in charge of the Yemen Spec Ops chat, because it seems like they're better at it than Pete Hegseth.
That's your participation.
My participation trophy. They have basketballs from Pay It, corporate sponsored, event here.
I can't believe how fucking rough they got with
No,
this.
I did not see that.
And like right away too, right, rough and like right away.
That's probably one of the worst instances of like continual assault that I've seen it in action. I'm fine. And then they tried to say, "Oh, you hit me."
Of course.
They'll always say that. But when you're fucking body
They're
checking
always the
someone,
victim.
Like that,
MAGA's
They got
always
violent
the
right
victim.
away, and their attitude was, the police are here for us, not you. Those are the people that scare me the most, are the people that behave as if the police are here to serve them, not you. It's like, no.
privileged white people.
Yeah, they're like, they're here for us. I'm sorry. None of the police are not here to protect you.
Oh, good job including a ginger. Way to bring a ginger.
Wait, were they with us?
Yes.
No,
not with us.
But they were on our team. Yeah, they were. But wait, so they were just had a separate action completely. No.
Oh, the Spec Ops not as good as we thought. It seems like there may have been other actors.
Well, no, they're Rockland residents against Lawler. I mean,
But wait, they weren't even coordinated with us.
No, they're just.
That's even better. This is our time. You know what? Okay.
They just stood up and did that shit. They're like,
okay, you know what? When I saw those old ladies holding up the sign, that gave me some life. I was like, I don't remember you from the action. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that action was like, huh, okay. Because that's great. So we just intersected. Wait, can I say?
Oh, is that you got that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's gonna do that to the wrong person on the wrong day. He's gonna do that to someone that is going through a mental health crisis, and it's not gonna end well for him. We have a mental health crisis in this country, and he's gonna be on the receiving end of it. And all of us are gonna go, yeah, that's fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I just one question.
Yes, we are.
Is anyone here like a full U.S. citizen? Everyone here's okay. No green card holders or anything that are going to get deported. Okay.
It might be demoted to a green card after this.
Yeah, retroactively.
That's a good call.
The level of violence that we witnessed, that we were, the focus of just disgusted me. It disgusted me because it was unprovoked. We went, we were nonviolent, unprovoked, and they just came at us and they thought they had free reign to do whatever they wanted to us physically, which is not. No serious injuries. We're all here together and we're all on the front line doing what we need to do.
I come from Black Lives Matter organizing.
Yeah, the left has to learn the physicality. Like I said, you got to bring back those 60s, man. You got to bring back that Stonewall shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to, if you're on the left right now, it ain't a game for the meek. It ain't a game for the weak. If you don't understand that while you're standing up there doing that the people that you're dealing with are willing to go and cross that line, then it ain't a game for you. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a part of it, you can't be soft. In the 60s, you couldn't be soft. In Stonewall, and gay dudes, gay people, sure there was more than dudes, they weren't soft. Them gay people would kick your ass.
Right, and I think that there is a lot of like a drive by, in general, our movement to be like, we are focused on nonviolence, and I'm sure everyone in the circle knows that.
Dude, she wear a port pearl necklace.
In this climate, there's nothing we can do or say. The fact is that our beliefs make us a public enemy, and we can stand there as much as we want. Like, I think we just need to be prepared and ready to face that increase in violence and that increase in hate.
I've had videos that I've uploaded where I'm getting assaulted multiple times by the same person, and they hit the front page of Reddit, and the comment thread is, oh, the assaulter, he was like so calm in the face of this violent antagonist. And I'm like, it's not like a nuanced video. It's not like who started it. It's me with my hands at my sides and the guy putting his hands right on my, like this, and then being like, that guy showed amazing restraint.
and literally.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, just to, call out my own bullshit, like, these guys are right, too, about certain things. It's like, more and more people need to see people like these people who aren't doing anything physical to these people, and then that they have them come at them like this. Like I said, I don't belong in these areas. This ain't a spot for me. I'm gonna make everybody look bad because, like I said, I'm gonna put somebody to sleep. But I think he's right. The thing he's doing, the thing they're doing, is good for everybody to see. It's good for everybody to see because MAGA likes to be the victim. They like to constantly talk about how they're the ones that they're getting their taxes taken. The white people are being replaced. The immigrants are taking our job. Everything is victimhood. The January 6th people did no wrong. They're all victims. They're also a bunch of pussies. Just a heads up. That's why they think they're victims, because they're pussies. But it's very important to remind everybody that when these people do show up, when they do protest peacefully, that these people will cross the line because they think that they can fight somebody that is protesting peacefully, because that's where their safe space is fighting women and people protesting peacefully. They don't want the smoke of people that will stand up for themselves. Like, you ain't gonna see any of these guys in Compton, okay? You ain't gonna see any of these guys in the neighborhood I grew up. All right, come on down and push someone around. Like, they got holes for those people. Like, that's not. These are the only people they can do it for, and everybody, I think, needs to understand, myself included, that this is important. What they did was important. It's very important because MAGA's not victims. MAGA are a bunch of cowards. MAGA are a bunch of people that talk shit, and then when somebody makes fun of them, they cry like little bitches.
There will be nothing you can say or do to dissuade someone from you being the violent, intolerant left.
The silver lining to take away from that is that the opposition is kind of like showing.
Yeah, I heard about the reparations of the January 6th
by not being able to stay cool. And when we say
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Regardless of how people feel about us,
the name ain't Angry Ginger for nothing.
Sympathetic to our cause.
So Jon Stewart did a segment with
Kyle Kalinske. What is he talking about? Steamroll's fake free speech, loving right way. Of course, yeah, dude. Let's see. I had a Kyle video up, but we're not gonna watch that. Let's laugh at some more stuff. I'm in a laugh at people mode. That's how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling like laughing at people. What's up, people over there on the Twitches? Thanks for being on the Twitches. I don't get a lot of people on the Twitches. Most of my people are over here on the YouTube. So I appreciate you guys being over there on the Twitch. Thank you so much. I'm trying to get those Twitch numbers up. I don't ever tell anybody to go to the Kick because I don't want to see you guys get like kidnapped and shit. I'm pretty sure if you go on Kick, you could possibly get napped. That'll happen. T-Roy, you hate Kyle. I know you hate Kyle. You hate everybody on the left. I mean, it's just par for the course. I mean, we're just going to guess. You hate Luke, too. I mean, you guys are always trying to fight with children, so par for the course. What up, Fantra Death? What's going on? Charlottesville and Heather Hare, I will never forget or forgive them. Yeah, I love like all the people that try and defend that Charlottesville shit, too. I come from I grew up with skinheads, dude. Like, I love when people try to be like, those guys, they weren't racist. They were just there to counter protest. Motherfucker, I grew up with these people. You are trying to convince a person that grew up with skinheads that those weren't fucking racist-ass neo-Nazis. I grew up with Nazi lowriders. I grew up with Peckerwoods, Featherwoods, skinheads, 88, 23, SWP, WP, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Every one of them. SS, all of them. Those motherfuckers were racist. Racist. You like Rick Wilson and Lincoln Project? I like. Yeah, but see, T-Roy, you're a conservative. Those are conservative people. I like those people too, because like I said, I don't have a problem with people who aren't MAGA cult members. If you're not a MAGA cult member, I don't have a problem with you. If you're a MAGA cult member, I'll even talk to you, but I'm just gonna, if you talk shit to me, I'm gonna talk shit to you. That's how that works. And also it happens to people on the left too. I mean, pretty much these hands are rated E for everyone. So it doesn't matter who it is. Like people come in here from all political spectrums, and every once in a while I even get a left-wing person that thinks I don't say enough about this or I don't say enough about that, and I shit on them too. I'm equal opportunity. That's equality for all. That's what I'm all about. I like Tim from the Bulwark. I think he's obviously not my cup of tea, probably like completely politically or whatever, but he's the type of person I can talk to, right? Like I like having conversations with conservatives. I like talking about whether or not smaller government is important, whether or not less regulation is the way to go. I like talking about whether or not taxes are used correctly. Like one of the things that I hate probably the most about this political environment and the time that I got involved in this was I came from a trailer park, from a ghetto, and then I educated myself enough to be able to talk about politics just in time for politics to devolve far enough that now I have to be fucking trailer park again. That's the shit that drives me the most nuts. Because the conversations I think I really would like to have with people across the aisle are conversations like, let's talk about whether or not regulation is over the top. Let's talk about whether or not reducing taxes would be a good thing if we did it right. Let's talk about all of those things, and let's like discuss the pros and cons of all this stuff. Let's talk about real shit. Let's talk about actually getting into the government and actually dealing with the fraud and corruption that's going on. Let's stop talking about fucking cutting people's Social Security. Why are we talking about cutting people's Social Security? Why are we talking about cutting people's Medicaid? Why are we talking about cutting USAID, which literally generates soft power around the world for America? Like, I'm happy to talk to somebody about those things, but I'm not going to talk to you about Elon fucking Musk. I'm just going to shit on you, because if your idea of a plan to cut fraud, waste, and corruption is to use the wealthiest man in the world that gets billions of dollars from the government, that was being investigated by the government like in 13 different departments. If that's your idea of getting rid of waste, fraud, and corruption, I can't fucking take you seriously. Angie Knight, where's Angie Knight at? Where's Angela at? If Angela's in my chat, you better tell me if Angela's in my chat. I didn't see no Angela. Fatty, don't be doing that to me. I love that you did that to your eye. All right? Because I used to have an employee. By the way, I manage people. That's what I do. I used to have an employee that every time I'd be ranting about something, I'm like telling them how hard. I'm like, you know how easy you got it? You know how easy you got it? You had parents. You know how easy you got it? I had to walk to school through 3 gang areas. Like, that was my version of the walk to school in the snow speech. Was like, I used to have to walk through the fucking East Side Crips. I used to have to I lived in the neighborhood where the skinheads hated me, and I was white. Like, you know what it's like? I lived in the ghetto. And he'd sing, in the ghetto. All right, let's talk about Trey. Yeah, to me, that's too short. Exactly, Jay. Did they use that in South Park? I don't remember that. But, obviously I probably missed a few episodes. I love me some South Park, though. That, for me, is too short. Yeah, too short. All right. So this is a liberal redneck, Trey Crowder. I love this dude. I always like watching my country dudes. Like, I love the Tennessee Brandos, Texas Paul. Like, I like the country dudes because I grew up in a place that was very country, very trailer park. And my opinion of many of the country dudes that came out was always the opposite of what the accepted idea of what a cowboy was, like a chivalrous person, a man that defended women. Like, obviously all the women I grew up with were domestically abused by their country ass husbands, their children domestically abused, so seeing people like Trey, seeing people like Tennessee Brando, Texas Paul, people that are actually good dudes that are country, really makes my fucking heart sing. Right? It's so good to see these guys actually standing up and being who we thought that they should be. So shout out Trey Crowder. liberal redneck, all-time great military blunder from Team Trump. Let's hear his thoughts on this.
Remember when Trump picked a alcoholic sex pest TV liar to head up the most powerful military in the history of the world? Yeah, well, weirdly, that don't seem to be working out too well so far. Pete Hegseth and his crack team of sycophantic idiots are in hot water after accidentally adding a journalist to a group chat about war plans. A group chat that I assume they renamed the Department of D's Nuts. I mean, it doesn't surprise you. Would really anything surprise you? Like if you heard that Hegseth was texting some Middle Eastern general, we may have to invoke the Kesar Protocol. What's the Kesar Protocol? Kesar ass is get bomb, loser, America rules.
Ligma.
Eagle emojis.
Ligma.
Like, would that shock you? Would that really be any worse than this story? I mean, to be fair,
Ligma group
he
chat.
is a drunk, and every drunk in the modern era has accidentally texted the wrong person, something they regret later. It's just that most drunks are not the Secretary of Defense. So to them, that means sending a poorly lit picture of their sad penis to a now thriving ex-wife, which, while still a very bad idea,
He's not wrong. Holy shit. You guys remember a time when our military used to look like frown upon military commanders, generals, people in charge drinking on the job, or just drinking in period to be honest. I mean, during the Red Scare, during the 30s, 40s, and 50s, it was accepted that you're not going to drink as a general. You're not going to drink as someone in command because you're expected to be able to do your job. And we have fallen so far as America. My grandfather was in the military for 30 plus years. My grandfather was as high as an enlisted man can go. My uncle was a Marine. My other uncle was Navy. My aunt was Navy. My father was Air Force. Everybody in my family, military. And I thought, like, my dad was he worked on airplanes in Vietnam. He was a mechanic, and he was an alcoholic. And he was let go from the Air Force. He was let go. He was given his pink slip from the Air Force for being an alcoholic, right? Like, if my dad, who would just get drunk on MP duty and fall asleep outside the mess hall, okay? If he was made the Secretary of Defense, I would have some serious questions about who the President of the United States is picking, okay? All right, I'd be like, I'd actually, like, myself ring up the president and, probably even hit him up in a signal chat, probably. I'd hit him up in a signal chat, and I'd be like, hey, just a heads up, that guy, you probably don't want him in charge of shit because he's going to get drunk and he's going to send pictures of his penis to people. That's going to happen. Probably to you. You probably already gotten the pictures. I'm really sorry if you have. There was a time when this shit actually was bad.
Usually doesn't have grave implications for our national security. So kind of makes this whole thing a little different, if you ask me. Now, Pete might hear that and go, hey, that's not fair. I also send unsolicited dick pics when I'm drunk. Thank you very much. Now, listen, all jokes aside, apparently technically wasn't Hegseth who added the journalist. It was National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, which, I'm sorry, doesn't really change anything for me. Right, if my son was on a traveling baseball team and I heard they let a monkey drive the bus, I'm not going to care whether it was the head coach or an assistant who gave him the keys. You're all coaches. You should all know it's a bad idea for a monkey to drive a bus. And truly, using a group chat for war plans is the monkey driving a bus of operational security. It's just in this case, the bus is America, all the coaches are monkeys, and the president didn't just give them the keys, he got all the monkeys drunk first. Things really just keep getting worse and dumber around here, don't they? Reportedly, Trump is furious at Waltz over this. You're like, oh, okay, so Trump realizes the gravity of this mistake and he's resolved to fix it now.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. Easy fucking W. Easy, it's okay, easy partial W. To be honest, easy partial W. All Trump has to do is he has to go, I mean, this should be fucking so easy for Donald Trump. He rolls people under the bus all the fucking time. All the time. All he has to do is be like, Pete Hegseth, bad job, we're going to put somebody else in there. You can't tell me in this world of sycophants that they can't find another sycophant, okay? Like, you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that they can't find another fucking idiot that will do whatever Trump tells them to do to make the Secretary of Defense. I will not believe that. And if there is, maybe there's still hope for the United States of America. Easy fucking W, though, here. All he has to do, come out in the morning. Pete did what? He leaned in on that mic, do the Trump thing. What? He did what? I didn't see any chats. Are they bad? Wait, oh, that's what he did, actually. Never mind, sorry. All he needed to do was come out and just say, Pete, you're fired. I'm sorry. You're a good dude. I like you. I like you a lot. He's got a really good face. If I was a gay man, I would sleep with Pete. Women, men, still sleep with Pete. Okay? But I'm sorry. You're fired. That's all he had to do. That's all he did. All he could have done. And he could have got a W. But that's how bad Trump is. That's how bad Trump's administration is. It's like a level of dumb fuckery that you can't believe exists in our society. And some fucking how these people became in charge of our government. More or less, that speaks a lot to who the American people are, how bad the left's messaging is, and what we're willing to accept when we're upset about something. That's it. Just from all parts right now, it is fucking embarrassing.
Of course not. No, that would be a good and appropriate thing. And good and appropriate things are illegal in this country. No, Trump is mad at Waltz, but not for jeopardizing the safety of our military. He's mad at him for having a journalist in his contacts at all, because that might imply that he's leaking information. You see, in Trump's circle,
the dude that's leaking the information is literally in the chat.
White nationalist podcasters who get paid by Russia to make dumb people mad. That's totally fine. Text those guys as much as you want. But journalists with annoying and disgusting habits like being objective and reporting the facts, strictly forbidden. Right? It is extremely telling that for Trump, the most egregious security screw-up in living memory, yes, MAGAs, even worse than Hillary's demon emails, is, quote, not a big deal. The idea of accountability is dismissed out of hand, and actions need not have consequences as long as you toe the line and kiss the ring. But even a hint of possible disloyalty, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Marco
and they call
Antonio
us
Rubio.
Alarmists crying tyranny. You know, one of the first things I thought when I saw this story, as I often do, is I wonder how the media is going to spin this.
Ground news commercial incoming. We've seen like 2
y'all,
already.
We're here on Ground News' website. They also have a mobile app and a Chrome extension. We're looking at
least
the
he makes
coverage
these
of
fun.
Trump
We'll let it
officials
play because
accidentally
we're using
adding
his
journalists to signal chat on Yemen strikes.
Drink break.
You've
Stay
got the coverage
hydrated.
breakdown over here. A whole bunch of sources, almost 600, already pretty evenly distributed, more on the left than the right. That in itself is telling. And if you look down here and you use Ground News to sort by bias of the outlets, you can see on the left, they're obviously pretty concerned. In fact, so concerning, it says, social media goes ballistic over the Hegseth chat. U.S. government accidentally invites journalists to secret chat. Heavy data breakdown in Trump's cabinet. You could tell.
Holy shit, it's so embarrassing.
This is. You could see on here on Ground News before you ever click an article, you see all this extra insight. You can see the bias of the outlet, the factuality rating, and even where the money comes from, the ownership group as well. All right,
Yeah,
but if you look instead at right-leaning outlets, they're keeping it mostly facts only, if you could call it that. They just note that Trump officials texted the plans to a group chat that included a journalist. Trump officials accidentally sent attack plans to reporters. They're trying to, it was just an accident, simple mistake. Anybody could do it. What are you going to do?
Everybody does that.
Using the language that points out how concerning and upsetting this is. And there's a reason for that. That's the extra insight you get from Ground News. That's why I like them. Been working with them for more than a year now. They add those extra layers of context and transparency. It's not all they do. They got plenty of other great features. One of my favorites is the blind spot feature here. This shows stories that are not being covered on either side of the political spectrum right now. So it gives you an opportunity to step outside of your own bubble and see what's going on down at the other end of the political spectrum. Something I think we could all stand to do a little more of. So if you like the sound of that, scan that QR code or click the link in the description below to try Ground News today. You can get 40% off their highest tiered unlimited access Vantage plan. That's only $5 a month. Or you can check out the Apple website for free. That's right. It's time. Push back on the bias and BS. Try Ground News today. All right, YouTube, and we're back. Yes, this story in particular, you know what it means. You know what time it is. It's time for that. The official refrain of American leftists everywhere. In a
here we go.
World, our official slogan, imagine if a Democrat did that.
Yeah.
Can you even? Actually, we don't even really need to imagine it. We already know. We've all got that one drunk uncle who hasn't stopped talking about emails in Benghazi for the last 10 goddamn years, in spite of everything that's happened in the meantime. We all know what would happen if.
What aboutism?
It's like I'm tired of being
Trump
gaslit by
supporters'
maniacs
go-to
who
argument.
think that the two are
What
the same.
about?
Right? If a
What
Democrat
about?
did this, Democrats would be the first people to say, that's not good, and we should probably do something about that. You know why? Because we care about the actual implications of the way things are run in this country. If we put someone in charge in a Democratic regime and they were a drunken buffoon, we might worry that that could imply that, you know, we could all get bombed or people could die and things would go badly. And as such, we'd prefer you find someone who isn't a drunken buffoon to do it. Now, I shouldn't speak for the entire
All we're
left, but I
asking
generally
about.
think that's how
We're
we
asking.
act. But it's funny.
That's all
what
we're
it takes.
asking.
You have to somehow try to illustrate for these people how
What up,
insane
DJ?
all this is, and it's like even that doesn't work. It always makes me think of, like, you know, that that iconic scene in the 90s legal thriller A Time to Kill, based on the you know, the legendary John Grisham book, where Matthew McConaughey's a competent Southern lawyer character at the end gives an impassioned closing argument where he beseeches this jury made up entirely of white rural Mississippians to imagine the horrors subjected to this victim and then think, what if she were white? And in that moment, all these people go, oh man, those things are bad. Rape and assault are bad. If you, now that I've pictured it being done to a white person, I totally understand why you might not want that. Man, crazy. Really makes you think, huh? And it's like, it's insane that ever needed to be said, or that it was, you know, useful in any context. But that's what we have to do with these people all the time, and yet it still doesn't work. We have to do some bizarro version of that. Anything that's bad in the world, we have to say to them, like, well, imagine it was like you that it happened to. And they're like, I can't, I won't, shut up. You're like, okay, sorry, apologize for that. Or anytime some bad things happen, you're like, oh yeah,
What's
now
up, Steve?
you care. And it's like, okay, imagine what you would be saying if a Democrat did it, though. And they're like, but, well, it's different for reasons, you know, because the Democrats are blood-drinking baby killers, and that makes it different, okay? It doesn't matter the objective facts of what has happened. It just matters the letter next to a person's name. That's what determines how I feel about it, and I'm not ashamed to admit that at all. That's just the world that we all live in, evidently, and we all know that nothing really is going to come of this, and even if it does, the only reason for it is going to be for the perceived disloyalty on the part of Waltz, not for the, you know, the incredible lapse in operational security. Trump's whole position on that is like, look, who cares? Okay, so they, you know, they sent like top secret class.
But that's the Trump playbook. One of the things I said about Jasmine Crockett, right? Like, Jasmine Crockett already kind of came out and said, like, oh, like, you guys are making a lot of this. I was talking about him. I'm not making fun of him for being handicapped, whatever it was. Like, I'm paraphrasing for her there. And I was like, nope, don't do that. Don't do that. The Trump playbook, what he showed that this American populace wants is, this populace wants people that just go, yeah, that's what I did. Who cares? And that's what she should do. She should come out and be like, yeah, I made fun of him. Who cares? Because Donald Trump is doing that with literally the security of our nation. He's like, yeah, it happened. Who cares? And you know what? There's not a single person on the conservative side of the aisle that's going to hold him accountable. Not a single person is going to say anything about it, because they know that if they do, they're going to get primaried by Big Daddy Elon Musk. Because for all these years that they've accused the left of being puppets for George Soros, it turns out in the end, they just always had daddy kink envy. They were just always jealous. They wanted a guy that could hang money over their heads and beat them with it and whip them with it, all fucking dominatrix-like, so that way they could feel something again. Because Elon Musk is that guy for these people now, and Donald Trump dances to his tune. And that's kind of one of the funniest things about all this. All the MAGA Republicans, their big, strong leader, Donald Trump, he's the best, he's the leader. He ain't the leader, dog. It ain't a joke. It ain't just left-wing people trying to push this to separate them. Nah, 100% Elon Musk is in charge because he gave $290 million to Donald Trump's campaign, and Donald Trump dances to whatever fucking tune Elon Musk wants him to. He wants him to sell Teslas off the front of the fucking White House lawn. He's going to do it. He wanted to put tariffs on cars being imported from outside of the country so that way they have to be forced to buy his Tesla. He's going to do it. You want Lutnick to go on Fox News and tell people to buy Tesla stock? He's going to do it. He's going to do everything that Elon Musk tells him to do because Donald Trump is bought and paid for, because Donald Trump is no better than your average prostitute. You pay her for her time, you get a good hour with her, and at the end of the day, you move on with your life and she goes back to the shitty life she had. That's Donald Trump. He's going to go back to his shitty life that he had before this, just hanging out at Mar-a-Lago and hate watching Fox News while Elon Musk goes on to control whatever is left of the country. That's what's happening. Fan for death. We need to stop imagining what would happen to a Democrat and start actually holding Republicans accountable by speaking out. We have to give them hell when they screw up. And that's exactly what I told everybody. You know, there's a lot of people, once again, I point out so many times, so many people nowadays want to, let me see. Let me phrase this correctly. Let me phrase this correctly. When people were talking about the classified text messages, there are people on the left that I'm trying to be nice to the lefties, okay? There are people on the left that often take up the talking points of the right because the left tends to be so goddamn self-critical that it's a fault. And they hear people on the right saying things like, well, you know what? It could have just been them bringing that guy in to fake this all, to set him up because they know the left's that dumb. And then they get their feelings hurt because they're on the left and they're like, hey, we're not that dumb. And then they start repeating that because they're like, no, like it could have all been a setup and we're going to look stupid. We're going to look stupid when this comes out and it's not real. They're like literally fucking, they have PTSD. They're DV victims. And I said this, I said, you guys need to stop with that shit. There's two ways this worked out, right? There is either, yes, they invited him into this chat that was a classified chat in the hopes that he would show classified information and get himself in trouble, and they can lock him away, or they could feed him disinformation, and he could spread bad information if he's a bad reporter, and then they could disavow anything he says and prove that he's an idiot, right? That's one option. Or two, Waltz has fat fingers, and he pushed a button. He wanted the Jeffrey Epstein involved, not Jeffrey Goldberg, okay? Wrong Jeffrey. One or the other. One of those two things happened. Either way, it's a colossal fuck-up for Republicans. And the left needs to stop being so goddamn self-critical and so worried about whether or not this is going to turn out. We're going to get had. We're going to get had. We can't take another L, brother. We can't do it. Okay? You need to stop with that shit. And you need to recognize that this should be a nonpartisan issue. You should be able to stand up and say things like, we shouldn't be sharing classified information with journalists in fucking signal chats, and we definitely shouldn't accidentally add them. Who the fuck else got accidentally added to this chat? That's a question that should be asked. I mean, was Tulsi Gabbard even supposed to be there? But exactly what Fan said. We need to hold them accountable. It's the left's job to stop being so fucking self-critical, being so self-concerned, stop having so much PTSD that they're worried about calling out Republicans. Stand the fuck up. Call them out. And if you're wrong, go, yeah, I was fucking wrong. I don't care. Every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Classified military information could jeopardize the lives of countless soldiers and service members to, people in the press, but without even meaning to.
Yeah, I saw that, Catherine.
It all worked out fine. The right brown people died. The bombs went off without a hitch.
Susie Wild was on the chat. I know. I saw that.
I see no reason to make a big deal out of this whole thing. All right. Now let me get back to ruining the Western world. So yeah, it's a new. It does make you wonder. It begs the question: what can possibly happen that's dumber and worse than this? And fret not. We'll soon find out.
We're going to find out, though. That's the problem.
That seems to be roughly the frequency with which these cataclysmically stupid things are happening in this country.
What up, LB?
Once a week.
Did I just see LB? What's up,
my
LB?
mind talking about each week's new iteration of them. So I look forward to the next one. It is truly incredible. You almost kind of got to give it up to them, because at a certain point, you're like, there's no way they can top this. In terms of dumbass incompetence, it can't be done. And they're like, hold my beer. That's what they say. It's truly incredible. You think at some point they'll have to hit the wall, jump the shark, do something. They can't just keep leveling up in terms of idiocy, dangerous idiocy, can they? I don't know. Methinks they likely can. We'll all soon find out. Listen, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it.
Dude, that's the thing. I keep telling you guys, I keep saying, like, look, if I wake up tomorrow, look, Trump's already done the damage, okay? It's only been like fucking 2 months, but he's already embarrassed himself so much that regardless of what he does from this point on, the majority of fucking people with more than 2 brain cells are going to be like, let's say their whole plan is, like I said, the stock bro plan, to rip the bandage off. So they're going to bounce the economy off the bottom. They're stock broing it. They're like, we got to find the bottom, then we're going to bounce it. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to get out of the recession, and everybody's going to, be so much better off. Even if that happens, at this point, he's done so much dumb shit. He's caused so much damage with our allies. He's caused so much damage to American people and their psyches. He's caused so much division. This is his legacy. And he's only 2 months in. And as Trey Crowder said, every day they're doing something dumber. So it's not like Donald Trump he started off bad. He didn't go 0 for 2 and then went 3 for 5 to finish the game. Okay? He's like 0 for 7. He struck out 6 times. He got caught fucking, not running to first base. He's done so much dumb shit. He's got 2 errors in the outfield. He's done so much shit that it doesn't matter if he gets a single or a double in the 10th. Okay? Doesn't fucking matter. He's already done a bad job, and this is his fucking legacy. We can hope that at one point or another, they find the bottom of their idiocy, and we can hope that we bounce and somehow come back from this shit. But I'm with Trey. I don't think there is a bottom to the dumbassery, the embarrassment that this dude can cause. Every time that I hear them talk about something, they're like, we got an avian flu plan. I was like, all right, hey, they've got an avian flu plan. I like that. I like hearing that we've got some actual plans coming out. Let's hear it. They're like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're gonna buy eggs from outside the country. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. All right, okay. Hey, we might even vaccinate some chickens. Okay, we work on that. You do know that vaccination takes time, that we would be out of the avian flu before all the chickens got vaccinated, right? That's fine, though. Good job. You guys are trying. You guys are really trying. Those are plans. Those are real plans. Good job, guys, right? I'm like, all right. And then something pops up and it says, RFK Jr. thinks that we should let the avian flu virus run through the chickens because they're going to build herd immunity. RFK Jr. apparently doesn't understand that chickens don't have the gene that's necessary to fight off the avian flu and that there's a 90% mortality rate. Do you know what would happen if 90% of egg-laying hens in America got the avian flu and died? You want to talk eggflation numbers, brother? Like, that is going to be, you're going to have like $37 dozens of eggs. If that, there just might not even be any fucking eggs. Every time that I hear some fucking opinion from these guys, I'm like, okay, well, let's hear the details. You know what? You say you got a plan. Let's hear the plan. And then I hear the plan, and I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking plan I have ever heard of in my entire fucking life. Who the fuck is coming up with this stuff? We could have elected a fucking manager at 7-Eleven and had better fucking plans. I know a couple dudes I worked with in fucking construction that I would take over Donald Trump 9 days out of 9. Okay? There is no bottom. These motherfuckers are going to continue to find further and further dumbasseries that has been never divulged before. You've never seen it. They're unearthing it as we speak. Probably in a Signal chat. Ah, Jesus Christ. All right, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, we got time for one more video. We're going to do one more. I kind of need some more water. All right, let's finish with this video. Let's watch the next generation of Democrats are pissed off and bringing the heat to feckless leaders by the Humanist report. And this is, obviously, you guys know why we're watching this. You guys know why we're watching this, right? Oh, yeah, sorry, Silent. Sorry, out of all of that fucking, out of all that ranting, I forgot that part. Yeah, there's too much to rant about, Silent. Yes, by allowing the virus into chickens and allowing it to run wild, each time that a virus gets into a person, they're generally trying to mutate to find a way to get into another species, because I don't know if you guys recognize this or not, but viruses are alive. It is a living being, and it wants to survive, and it wants to do what all living beings do. It wants to replicate. It wants to create more of itself, and it wants to become stronger. You know, Darwinism. I know that fucking MAGA supporters don't believe in Darwinism or fucking evolution or any other thing that makes any kind of fucking sense at all. But yes, as it spreads through the chickens, it has more chances to mutate. As we saw with the swine flu, most of these flus start in the avian area. They start with the avians, then they jump their way into a biological being that is in some way close enough to us in biology that it can then jump to humans. So in the case of the swine flu, we saw that happen. Avian flu has been contracted by certain people, but all of those people have been people that have come into contact with either dead chickens or with cows, because it can get into cows right now too. So it's just the dumbassery doesn't really have an end. I mean, I made a video on this if you guys want to watch it, but like, it doesn't end. And you know the worst part about all this shit right now? Do you know what the worst part about this right now is? Is T-Roy, what you just said. This is the thing. We are at a point where medium eggs. So first of all, I'm going to get in front of any dumb fuck MAGA that wants to say egg prices are 50% what they were. No, they're not. The price of medium eggs, by the way, I have 20 years in the grocery industry, so I will fight you fucking all day on this. The price of medium shell eggs in pallet quantities, for the layman, that's a wholesale quantity, okay? Pallet, wholesale, medium shelled eggs has dropped 50%. No one eats medium eggs. The recipes that you look at to like bake with and stuff like that, they all reference large eggs, because hens, for the most part, produce large eggs. You, for the most part, consume large eggs. No one, for the most part, consumes medium eggs. So yes, the price of eggs has decreased. Medium have dropped by 50%. That's because nobody buys them. Now, also, on top of that, demand for eggs has also decreased, because people have finally wisened up and realized if they stop buying eggs, then the price of eggs go down. So for people that don't understand inflation, the easiest way to explain inflation is when you have too much money in the system and the demand is too high, therefore it increases the price because the supply cannot keep up with it. So what's happening right now, and the reason we have eggflation, is because people are panic buying eggs because they go to a grocery store, they see that the shelves are empty, and they think, oh, this time I should buy 6 or 7 or 8, because who knows, they might run out sometime soon. So on one part, people are causing the egg prices to go up. On the other part, corporations are continuing to price gouge people because they're not getting the amount of profit they're getting from their normal egg sales, because they're getting less eggs, so they have to increase their profits on those eggs by selling less for a higher price. Now, on the other side of that, large eggs also have decreased marginally. Not by much, but because of two things. Because the Biden administration asked all of those farmers to call. I think it's something like 43 million over the last 3 months. 40 plus million chickens were called to keep the flocks from having the avian flu. So that mitigated the avian flu. That's what's happening right now, right? So it's mitigated the avian flu. Demand for egg prices are coming down because demand for eggs is coming down. So between those two factors, we're literally at a point that potentially egg prices could actually end up coming down. That's why this is the dumbest fucking idea ever seen. Now, mind you, we're also entering spring, which is the high point for infections in avian flu because of the migration of birds. A lot of the ways that birds get infected with the avian flu is by other birds flying over chicken coops and shit like that and shitting on the coop, and then the birds walk through it and they get infected. Like, this is why I said reductionism drives me fucking nuts. There's so much nuance to this conversation. It's so complicated, and everybody wants to be like, Biden made the egg prices go up. You're a fucking moron, okay? Or the egg prices are coming down. You're also a fucking moron, okay? Because you don't understand any one of the mitigating factors, any reason for why those prices are actually coming down. You're just regurgitating the information that you heard. This is my problem with people. If we were to take what's going on right now, less avian flu due to the culling of the flocks, if we were going to continue to influence people to stop panic buying eggs, so that way the price would come down. And then, with all of that going on, hope that we get through a spring that has less avian flu, the price of eggs can come down. But if you allow the avian flu to run through flocks of birds unmitigated, the price of eggs will fucking skyrocket. Like I said, this administrations aren't just regular dumb, they're super duper fucking dumb. It's like you could actually get a W from this. All you have to do is just sit back and let the prior administration do what they did. You can just claim it. Donald Trump could just claim that everything that Joe Biden did, it was all because of him. But that's how fucking dumb the people are that he put in these positions. They're fucking idiots. And so are the people that follow them. God damn it. What are you trying? I've got the receipt. We bought 18 pastures. Yeah, my store sells eggs for $3.99 a dozen. Yeah, there's stores that are, the price of eggs are going down. Yeah. For anybody that does not believe that the egg prices are going down, the egg prices are going down. Like I said, but that is not due to anything Trump has done, by the way. That is not due to anything that Trump has done. If you'd like to argue with somebody who has 20 years of experience in the industry, fucking go for it. But I'm going to own your fucking ass. I have supreme confidence in this subject. Let's watch this video. Let's watch the next generation of Democrats are pissed off and bringing the heat to feckless leaders.
And so many Democrats seem content to just sit back and let them. So I say it's time to drop the excuses and grow a fucking spine. I'm Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 9th district.
Nice.
Unfortunately, this party has become one where you have to look to the exceptions for real leadership, as the majority work from an outdated playbook. We need a makeover, which means we need a vision that's bigger than what we've been told is possible. There is absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to afford housing, groceries, and healthcare with some money left over. Families should have free childcare, Social Security should be expanded, and our inalienable rights shouldn't be dependent on who's in power. That means standing up to authoritarians, not shrinking away when the fight gets tough. And while current Democratic leadership might be fine cowering to Trump, I'm not.
Good job. That's the energy.
And that,
like
my
said,
friends,
that right
is
there.
what the future of the Democratic Party looks like.
Good
Someone
job.
who is not afraid to stand up to Republicans or Democrats who collaborate with fascists. And I think you've all known for a while now that I've been very ambivalent.
Show you guys one thing real quick. I showed this in my video. So this is what the egg argument's over. CPI. So if anybody doesn't understand, CPI is what you want to look at for anything to do with consumer pricing, right? So CPI is the Consumer Price Index. So when you want to look at CPI and you want to look at egg prices, this is what you guys are arguing about right now. Here we go. This one right here. So look, this is CPI. This is egg prices as of February. As you can see, egg prices have not gone down. Once again, that's because medium eggs are what the actual price. I'll show you that chart too if you want to see it. It does have a 50% drop off. But the reason that CPI is still high is because grocery stores are still affected by the amount of backstock that they've already pre-purchased. So they purchased most of those eggs already at a super high price. Therefore, the reason that you see price fluctuations throughout the country, some people are saying they're paying more, other people are saying they're less, because it's all dependent on your buyer for your store, all dependent on who they're getting their eggs from. Some farms were not affected as much. I think like Pennsylvania and stuff like that got affected way more. The other chart I'll show you, and here's one as well that you guys should always be aware of. Reddit. God damn it, I can't talk. It's too late. If you want to see, another place that you should go to for data sets is the St. Louis Fed. So this is egg prices. Once again, this is egg prices, and you can see as of February, the price was still going up. So when you talk about egg prices wholesale going down, but egg prices in grocery store either staying elevated or increasing, the reason you're seeing that is there is a lag between wholesale prices being applied to grocery prices, right? You also need to understand that there are nefarious actors. There are grocery stores that continue to price gouge people. I've said this over and over again, that the idea that grocery stores weren't price gouging people over eggs was, it was factual that they were. And Kroger's even literally came out and said that they were doing it. But people don't want to hear that. They just want to argue about dumb shit. The egg prices that you are paying now, if you are paying elevated prices still, are either because of a lag between the store bringing in cheaper prices, or it is because they're price gouging you, or it's because right now most grocery stores are operating under the understanding that almost every product in their grocery store is going to go up because of the tariffs talk. That's why, this is not a simple, I bought eggs and they were this cheap, therefore egg prices are down. Nor is it, I bought eggs and they're this expensive, so therefore egg prices are up. It's much more complicated than that. And so we need to go off of what's considered a national average. That's why you use a consumer price index to determine that. The consumer price index takes the national average and tells you what people are paying. Currently, so far, in the month of March, what we're seeing is a potential for price decreases in eggs if grocery stores decide to allow them to happen. If not, you will continue to pay high prices. And if RFK Jr. gets to fucking let the avian flu run wild in chickens, also, you're going to end up paying you're going to pay astronomical prices. Like I said, I know a little something about this subject, just a little bit. A little too much, guys.
Equivalent towards this idea of taking over the Democratic Party, because quite frankly, we tried that before and we failed miserably. I've probably brought on more than 100 progressive congressional candidates over the last 10 years, and just a small handful of them won their primaries, and just a couple actually made it through to Congress. But this time, I'll admit things do feel different. I don't know if that's just naive optimism or whatnot, but it does seem like now is the time where we kind of have to act. And I think that we'd be foolish to not give it another go, especially considering how the Democratic Party's approval rating is at a record low, and just 6% of the Democratic Party's base thinks that Hakeem Jeffries reflects the party's core values, and just 2% thinks that Chuck Schumer reflects the party's core values, which is still too high in my opinion. But, in an article for Politico, Lakeisha Jane explains that the data clearly indicates that the Democratic Party is starting to see the emergence of its own Tea Party-like movement, which should scare incumbents. And even though the base supports progressive policies, if you ask them, it seems like most of the anger stems from the party's refusal to fight. So as disillusioned as I am at the prospect of trying to reform a party that has been unreformable for almost a decade now, I do think that we have an opportunity to maybe seize the moment, harness all of that rage, and potentially try to remake the Democratic Party in our progressive image. And candidates like Kat Abu-Ghazala are the only ones that are going to be able to pull the party out of the hole that they dug for themselves, not corrupt, pro-corporate pick-me's like Gavin Newsom, who's chumming it up with fascists ahead of his inevitable 2028 run. Now, I can...
And I agree with that, even though I do not dislike Gavin Newsom being from California. I think that Gavin Newsom, like many politicians, have things that he does that I disagree with, and there's things that he does that I very much enjoy. In fact, I think that, being the governor of the most progressive state in the union is very important, and I think that in some ways is evidence that he does support those values. Unfortunately, I think recently what Gavin Newsom has been doing has been the Cenk Uyghur fucking style of reaching across the aisle to MAGA, and I can't support that. And this is what I'm saying is, like, people need to be capable of having nuanced perspectives on people they like and the people they dislike. I like Gavin Newsom, what he's done for a large part of California. I know that there's certain things that I dislike about it. Prop 47, at the time was meant to be a benefit to California in the way of reducing the prison system and the financial cost of running prison systems. That ended up being a bad proposition for businesses because people started stealing shit, and they got away with stealing with that shit because those people knew how to game the system. So that needed to be amended, and it was amended. And it does seem now that 47B is having a much better effect on keeping both people safe and also at the same time keeping the prisons from being filled with people that shouldn't be in prison with other fucking more violent criminals. I'm a big fan of the Kamala Harris idea of rehabilitating a lot of non-violent offenders. I'm a big fan of much of what Kamala Harris ran on when she was here. And I would vote for Kamala Harris to be the governor of California as well. But you need to be able to have a nuanced take on these things. And my current opinion on Gavin Newsom is he should not be the person who runs for the president of the United States if he's going to do what he's doing right now. Because I think eventually he's going to make a mistake. I think that most people on the left now have been triggered in the same manner that people on the right that became MAGA did. And you're not going to find open ears for people when you're talking to people like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon on the left. So I do not have probably the same amount of hate that somebody like Mike would have for him. But I also agree that I do not think that he's probably going to end up being the best candidate for to get what we want to get done. That's what I would think. And I could be wrong. Disagree away.
I can tell you firsthand that Kat is not the only candidate who is running for office. I know somebody personally who is about to announce their candidacy very soon, and they are not fucking around. They're basically my anger interpreter who's an expert at shitting on spineless Democrats and Republicans, so stay tuned for that. I'll be bringing them on the program soon. But with that being said, we are going to hear more from Kat because she's going to explain in this next clip from her launch ad why she's different than other Democrats.
I've spent my entire career reporting on the far right and being attacked by them as a result. In fact, just a few months ago, Elon Musk's lawyers deposed me here in Chicago to ask about my mean tweets. Look, I thought comedy was legal again. This is all to say, I'm not scared of standing up to these people. I know how they think, and I know how to beat them. But my campaign itself is going to be different too, because I don't want to wait a year to help people. We're focused on meeting constituent needs with one simple rule. What if we didn't suck? My campaign and I would rather spend our money on book drives and clothing exchanges and public events than fancy fundraisers for rich donors. I also want my campaign to be as transparent as possible. That's why I'll be posting regular videos about the costs and steps of running for office. We all deserve better. We deserve human rights and financial freedom and a party that stands up to authoritarians.
I like that a lot because in my interview with Lindsay Prather, I learned a lot about why regular people can't get into office. I learned that actually at the bottom levels of our politics, those people do not get paid almost anything. I think Lindsay Prather said at that time, and this is years ago, so I could be misquoting this, but I believe she said she made like $19K a year as a politician on that level. So she still worked her job as a professor at a university. At the same time, she was working 3 hours from the where they would meet up to do committees and stuff like that, and the state capitol. So she would have to literally drive to there 3 hours away, work for 8 hours or however long she had to be there, if they had to be there longer, and then drive back 3 hours home to be able to do her job in the next day or two. And I did not realize that one of the biggest issues in politics, and the fact that we don't see enough people that represent us, the regular people, was that the bar to entry financially was incredibly high. Because just to campaign and stuff, you need to have people that have money, that believe in you and are willing to back you, which means that you also have to believe in their interest, right? But B, even if you're lucky enough to run in a place where either you're not being primaried or not running against somebody from the other party, and you just happen to get voted in because you're one of the only people running, then even doing that, you still have to keep your normal everyday job. And as a person that does YouTube and also works 40 hours a week and also wakes up at 5:30 in the morning and works out with my kids and also has, family responsibilities as well, I can tell you this is fucking exhausting, and all I have to do is go to my job and then come home, and most of the other stuff I do here. I can only imagine what it would be like if I had to drive to the state capitol once a week to do whatever I was considered to need to do as a council person or as, a congresswoman, whatever it is. And I think that's really great of her to talk about that, because it was very educational of me to talk to Lindsay Prather from North Carolina. And she really opened my eyes as to why everyday Americans are never represented in politics.
We deserve to thrive, not just survive. And I plan to fight for those ideals both on the campaign trail and in Congress. If you want to know more about me and what I believe, you can go to catforillinois.com. I do need to mention that campaigns cost money and ask you to contribute what you can. But I promise your donation will not be wasted on old, ineffective tactics. No spammy guilt trip texts, no focus groups to test my views, and no grifty consultants who care more about their paycheck than actually winning.
Yep.
It's time to challenge the status quo. And if our leaders won't do it, we will.
And that right there is like music to my ears, because Democrats have often used those idiotic and annoying text messages to fundraise off of Republican destruction while not offering their own alternative vision. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe.
And you know why? Because somewhere out there's some fucking 75-year-old white man that's like, no, that's what works, dude. I've been doing it this way for 40 years. 40 years I've been doing this. That's what works. One of the biggest problems on the left is it's old. It really is. Like, the left used to be a party of being in touch with the future, with progress, understanding. And now they've fallen so far behind when it comes to like what actually young people think. My dude Fan will talk about it all the time. How young men are talked to by the left is incredibly bad. Their messaging to young men is fucking horrible. As a person who manages young men, I can tell you that the way that the left deals with young men is fucking dumb. I think that they're old, they're out of touch, and there's a bunch of meritocracy bullshit that goes on within the left where you continue to promote these old fucking people into positions where they get to decide how things are ran. And when that happens, you have what you get from this party right now. You need young people that know what the fuck is going on, how to reach other young people like Adam Mockler, people like Luke Beasley, people like fucking this girl here. I can't say her last name. I'm not even going to try. Good job, Mike. You need people like this. America needs people like this. T. Roy says, thank you for the content and the effort. I enjoy and appreciate this channel. Thank you. Thank you, T. Roy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Believe that my $5 that I could chip in right away is going to make you fight more than you already haven't been fighting. Like my representative, Suzanne Bonamici, she's been invisible for the long time that she's been in Congress, hasn't done shit, but yet she has the nerve to send me these emails saying, hey, if you could support me by sending in $10, I'll fight. Where have you been this whole time? Why haven't you been fighting? Do you really think I'm stupid enough to believe that another $10 is going to make you fight suddenly? It's just insufferable. Furthermore, when it comes to consultants, I don't think people truly understand how instrumental the consultant industrial complex has been in the Democratic Party's decline. The same people who have fed Democrats bad advice election after election after election.
Same thing goes for polling. Polling and consulting are fucking terrible. They're terrible. Look, if you're a politician and you can't figure out what your message should be without somebody else kind of hanging out with you that you paid to like figure this shit out, I don't know what to tell you, because that is the literal disconnect between you and your people. If you are running in California and you are representing a majority blue district, you should know that in California, because it's a progressive state, dependent on, you should know your county, how old they are, what those things that are important to them are. If it's an older community, you understand that entitlements are very important to them. Things like Social Security, very important to them. Things like Medicaid and Medicare, very important to them. If you are in a blue district that has a lot of young people, then you need to know that the housing market is incredibly important. Minimum wage being raised is incredibly important. You should know these things as a fucking politician. This should be 101 for you. And when you don't know these things and you have to go to a consultant to get you to tell you what you should run on or how you should do it, that means that you probably don't deserve to have that job in the first fucking place.
Never lose their jobs. They're always rehired. In fact, they're often promoted to feed different Democratic campaigns the same losing advice that just cost other Democrats an election. I mean, some of the same people who advised Hillary Clinton in 2016 went on to advise Kamala in 2024. And immediately after Kamala lost, they were already telling Democrats what needs to happen for them to win elections. And the advice that they were giving was, oh, they need to shift further to the right. Now, the reason why we know that Kat would be effective at fighting these fascists is because, as she said, she's already been fighting them in court. So for those who don't know, Kat is an independent journalist who used to work for Media Matters until her and her colleagues were laid off, so that way the organization could afford to defend themselves against a defamation lawsuit by Elon Musk after they published a report about Twitter advertisements appearing next to pro-Nazi content. So she's already been in the trenches, and to her, this is personal. But it's also personal in the sense that she's a stalwart progressive who's not being represented by the person who's supposed to represent her, the incumbent, Jan Schakowsky, who's an 80-year-old corporate Democrat who's been in office since the year Kat was born and done almost nothing for people like Kat. But I mean, if you go to Kat's website, you'll see that she has a fully fleshed out policy page where she vocalizes support for single-payer healthcare with comprehensive coverage, as well as LGBTQ plus rights. And unlike other Democrats, she's putting trans rights front and center, which is needed now more than ever. And she's also against genocides that our government has been funding and supporting, including Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen and Israel's genocide in Gaza. And if she were to be elected, she'd be one of just 2 Palestinian Americans in Congress, which is important. And she's clearly tapping into something special because she managed to raise $100,000 in just the first 7 hours of her campaign, which is astonishing for a small grassroots funded candidate of this size. And it was closer to $200,000 by the end of the day. So this is a test. Her campaign is a test for Democratic Party voters. Other progressive campaigns are a test for Democratic Party voters. If they are serious about stopping fascists, now is the time to prove it. When you vote in primaries next year, don't just automatically vote for the incumbent Democrat. Vote them out.
Yes.
Unless they're a visible and vocal fight.
And I'll actually say something different. Well, he's probably about to qualify what he just said. Don't just vote out incumbents. Do research on these incumbents. Find out, have they been standing up for you? How do they vote? Are they the type of person that would censure somebody like Al Green or Jasmine Crockett? Find out whether or not these people have followed through with their promises and whether or not they actually represent your values. Don't just vote out incumbents because you're mad. Vote out incumbents because they're bad, okay? Like, if you want to make a real difference in politics, you're going to have to get involved. Who was it? Was it Ralph Nader that said, if you don't know about politics, politics will know you? Or what was, I forgot the quote. I hate that I do that when I do that. But the point being is that you can sit around all day long with your friends and say, oh, I don't like to talk about politics. I don't like to involve myself in politics. At one point or another, I think that's if you don't get involved in politics, politics gets involved in you. That's, I think, the quote. You have to do better than just responding or reacting to things. You need to research things. You need to look at whether or not your incumbent is part of the problem or they're not. And if they're not part of the problem, keep them around unless there's somebody that's better. Now, on the other hand, if you find somebody that is not doing the things that you want, you need to not only vote them out, but you need to hold them responsible and accountable for doing the things that you held the incumbent accountable for. And you also need to use your voice and tell people, because I think a lot of us assume because you're on the same team, you have left-leaning values, that must mean that you all think the same things. No, one of the things I enjoy the most about doing content that appeals to left-wing individuals is that you guys do argue. I think sometimes you guys get a little bit too fiery and fight with each other and end up, walking away mad. I think that it's important to recognize you're on the same team and you have the same fundamental values. But I think that it's really great to see you guys talking. People need to talk to each other and not assume that you're on the same page. You need to say to somebody, hey, if you're in Chuck Schumer's district and you're a person that says, let's use my example. I say Chuck Schumer should have voted against that CR. He's feckless. He should have never done that, and I want him out. If you don't believe that, as some of my chatters did not, you should speak up and say, no, let me explain to you why I think Chuck Schumer did that, and let me explain to you why I think it was a good idea that he did. And then you need to have intelligent, productive conversation with each other to attempt to come to a conclusion that's beneficial for all of us. Not just you guys even, all of us. Because that's the point. The left is supposed to be the party of we, and the right is the party of me. Tia! Welcome, Tia! Welcome to the Ginger Army, Tia!
Fighter like Al Green or Bernie Sanders, do not vote for them again. Look up the other names that you don't recognize and see what policies they support. If they don't support Medicare for all, if they don't support getting money out of politics, if they don't support ending our support for genocide, they're not worth supporting. We need fighters in Congress, and the same people who've been there for decades very clearly aren't cutting it. Now, Hakeem Jeffries was asked about Katz.
And to my point, I'll let the video play here in a minute because I do have to get off soon. To my point, you might have disagreed with one of the things that Mike just said, right? But you still have the same fundamental values as Mike. You still believe in the same things. You may not agree with everything that he just said, but you still have the same fundamental values. I have people that come in here, I don't watch this fucking idiot, or I don't watch that fucking idiot. And I'm like, why? And it's like, it's one opinion they have that they don't like. Fuck, you're in my chat. You're going to disagree with me a lot. My opinions are all over the fucking place. I do have a foundation that I build based off of my philosophy as to what my opinions are. But, I've had people that come in here and called me a fucking centrist. I've had people call me MAGA. I've had people call me, obviously every left-wing name you could possibly imagine. Obviously, I, for the most part, lean really hard left. I believe in progressivism. I wouldn't say I'm a progressive because I think that I disagree with people like Mike. I think Mike is a great representation of what a progressive is, and I don't think I would hold up to the purity test of progressivism when it comes down to certain topics. But that's okay. I don't need to. I don't need to join any party to be able to have these conversations and to be productive. Instead, I can be who I am, a political mercenary of sorts, that has conversations with people like Mike that can disagree with Mike, and he might not be able to. For all I know, Mike might be like, no, fuck you, I'll never talk to you again. But I would be able to continue to have conversations with these people and be able to say, like, we disagree on this one thing, but that's completely fine. We have the same goal in mind. Fan, $2. Why 35 is someone is qualified, elect them. Are you talking about the age limit for presidents? Is that what you're talking about? I'm going to guess that's what you're talking about. I'm going to guess that you're talking about the age limit for presidents. Why 35? I don't know. You want me to still man the argument, or you want me to tell you what I think? If I'm still manning the argument, I would say that 35 is probably the age limit because, for the most part, your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. You have life experience. You hopefully have some type of expertise in whatever job you have. If you're not a reality TV show president, you're probably a lawyer or something else, as many presidents before Trump actually had some qualifications for being the president of the United States. If I'm still manning it, I guess that's like the reasons behind it, right? Like maturity, brain function, experience, expertise. Those would be the things that I would think. if I'm giving my opinion on it, I don't believe that all those things are directly related to age, because I've told my kids before, if you think that you have to give somebody respect because they're older than you and you assume that they know more than you do, I'm like, don't do that. Because just because somebody's older than you does not mean that they're smarter than you, does not mean that they know more than you. It does not mean that they're more dependable than you. So I think it really, as many things have to be discussed. I don't think there's a cookie cutter for anything. So I don't think that there should be an age limit for president, in my opinion. Maybe like 21 or something like that. I guess, if we make it too low, these idiots will definitely vote like a 13-year-old MAGA kid in. So, I mean, maybe there's some limit that makes sense. But I think, there shouldn't be an age limit. There should be other infrastructure put in place in our country to determine whether or not a person is good enough to be the president of the United States. If your age is the most important thing, but like the things you've done in your life are not, like, if you can be a felon, if you can, have countless, negative relationships in your life, both professionally and in business, if you can, call into account the efficacy of our legal system and our electoral system and all of those things, and still get the job, I don't think that it should disqualify you for being 25 years old. Like, I guess that's my opinion. That's what I would say. 35 back in 1776 is probably different than 35 today. That's true. That's actually another solid point. Is 35 back in the day was definitely different than 35 today. You're old at 35 back in the day. God, don't tell them that though. Don't tell them that, dude. They'll raise the age to like 55. Oh God. Keep that one to yourself.
That's primary campaign against Schakowsky, and he expectedly signaled his intent to support the do-nothing incumbent over Kat.
Are you concerned at all about incumbents getting ousted this cycle, and what specific steps are you taking to prevent
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Congressman Schakowsky is facing a challenge from Kat Abu-Ghazala.
She's a long-standing member, obviously a long-standing stalwart progressive member. I'm unfamiliar with this particular challenge, so I can't comment on it beyond having a conversation with Jan at some point. There's a lot of energy.
See, this is why I can't get behind Hakeem. Somebody fucking put a cap on him. I swear to God. Somebody took Hakeem aside and told his ass to tone it down. I can't help but think that. The energy you're getting from him in this interview right here, it's bad. Like, you know what the response to something like that is? You know what the response to something like that is? You say, you know what? If Jan can defend her position through her policies and her experience and what she's done for her county or her country or her state, whatever the fuck it is, then God bless her. But if she can't, and this new young person that's raising up comes with the motivation, the energy, and the ability to dethrone her, then good on her. Because we need people that are here getting the work done. We need to not be just going, well, she's the long-standing member that's been here. She's been here a long time. Did I say she's been here a long time? Because that's all that matters to us, is how long she's been here is actually the only determining factor on why we support her. Like, that's fucking dumb. This is so low energy, and this is why I liked Hakeem Jeffries like a month ago, 2 months ago, when he was like fucking doing his I'm a rapper shit. He has lost the plot.
A lot of angst, a lot of anxiety, of course,
Pelosi
across
pulls the
the
strings
country,
probably.
as it relates to the parade of horribles that Donald Trump has been unleashing on the American people.
Jan Schakowsky is not a progressive. And that response right there demonstrates why he's part of the problem. Rather than placating us by patting us on the heads and telling us how valid our feelings are, why don't you actually do something, Hakeem? We're not going to believe that you have the energy to fight if you look like you're about to fall asleep.
Good job, Mike. Way to call him out. Oh, when everybody sees it, dude. When everybody sees it. I mean, Hakeem's the guy who came out and like said, we're powerless. What are we supposed to do? There's no Congress. There's no Senate. I mean, that was literally just being like, you guys don't like us, so fuck it, we're not going to do anything. Okay, well, then we really don't like you at all, then you got to go. Like, that's not the energy. The energy should be, you guys didn't like what we did, all these Republicans got voted in, we need to fix this shit, our bad, we'll make it happen, we'll be fucking there for you, give us a minute, we're going to get our shit together, and we're going to make this better. That's the energy.
When you talk about all of the energy and angst that the base feels. And Kat responded to that saying, nice to meet you, Hakeem. It's time to get familiar. Which I love because that's the energy that we need. We need more Democrats who are going to be confrontational with the Democratic Party's leadership. And I get that a lot of focus recently has been on Chuck Schumer, rightfully so, since he caved to Donald Trump and gave away all of the party's leverage. But let's not forget that before Chuck Schumer caved, Hakeem Jeffries and two other Democratic Party leaders in the House scolded Democrats for being too rowdy during Trump's address to Congress.
A number of us were pulled into an office.
Right.
And
not saying whose office it was.
no, but if you Google, you'll find the article.
Yeah.
You know, and saying like that we were, and I'm like, I need the freedom.
What was the message you were?
And this is why I started this, saying this the way I did. You guys got to understand. You might not like Jasmine's joke. I don't know if you did or you didn't, okay? I thought that shit was funny. But what you do need to understand is, if you're out here and you're saying these Democrats aren't doing enough, and then you're also backing these people for putting a fucking cap on Hakeem, putting a cap on Jasmine, putting a cap on Al Green, and you think that they should just follow along, you're also part of the problem. You're part of the problem because you should be supporting Jasmine. You should be going out and being like, we fucking love you. You fight for us. You know what? I still support you. Fuck that. You don't have to even say that what she said was funny. You don't have to agree that it was funny. But what you should be 100% making sure that she knows is that you got her back. Because if you don't let her know, and she exists in this void where all she's getting is negative energy from the people above her, and nobody below her voices their support for her, then you're going to find that somebody like her also is going to become quieter and quieter and quieter. Because people don't take risks unless there are rewards. People do not put themselves out in front of everyone else unless they think the people behind them are going to support them when they are in danger. And one of the things that MAGA has done that the left needs to pick up on is they are unerringly behind their people. Always supportive of their people. The only times that they are not supportive of their people is when their people do things that they don't want them to do. The things that Donald Trump doesn't want them to do. The left needs to find an ability to consolidate and help people like Jasmine Crockett feel comfortable, feel strong when she makes a statement, whether or not you 100% agree with it or not. Because that type of criticism should take place behind closed doors. That type of criticism and teaching and learning should happen from people that support you, not people that are trying to put a cap on you.
We're too much off the leash. Is that what the message was?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
With the State of the Union.
Right.
But nobody remembers anything from the State of the Union but Al Green. So I'm like...
Right.
And speaking of Al Green, the 10 Democrats who voted with fascists to censor him, they weren't pulled into Jeffrey's office to be scolded. The ones who were disrespectful to Trump during his joint address, those were the ones who got talked down to. So, I mean, that kind of tells you everything that you need to know about the Democratic Party leadership and why we need more Democrats who plan on confronting them both privately and publicly. Because what they're doing, that type of leadership just isn't going to cut it. Capitulating to fascists is not what's going to save us from fascism. But I don't want to give you the impression that it's just leadership that's the problem, because the problem is so much more systemic than that. Almost all Democrats are too corrupt or too out of touch to be in power. They just can't meet the moment. I mean, ask yourself, when was the last time you were actually enthusiastic about a Democrat that you voted for in a general election? It never happens. The last time I can remember is what, like maybe 2008, the first time I was old enough to vote when Obama ran the first time.
Excited about that.
Every other time, I look at the options and it's a, corporate, uninspiring Democrat or a fascist psycho Republican.
Yeah, and Biden, when I voted for Biden, so I voted for Biden because in the Trump-Biden debates, Trump called him out on the 98 crime bill, which I also was very critical of. And during the debates, Donald Trump said, "You're the most racist person ever. You co-wrote or whatever it is, signed off on the 98 crime bill." I mean, it's Trump, so he probably said he fucking wrote it himself. And Biden said to Trump, he said, "Yeah, it was a mistake, man." He said, "That was a mistake." And I was like, oh, shit. I have never seen a politician accept any accountability for their actions and express any regret for them. And I was like, you know what? Trump's an asshole and Biden's milquetoast, but at the end of the day, at least he can fucking admit to everybody that what he did was wrong. And I voted for him because of that. Now, when I voted for him, I also set a very low bar for my expectations, as Mike is talking about right here. I was like, look, he just needs to get us through this fucking pandemic. He needs to hold the economy together enough that we don't go into recession. We need to, he needs to do the stimulus and make sure that people are taken care of. And, hopefully they'll pass an infrastructure act, right? Like those were the things I wanted from Biden. Biden far exceeded my expectations. Biden cut almost $200 billion worth of debt from through student college debt relief, which is almost 10% of all borrowers. He got a bipartisan infrastructure bill done that was incredibly important to our country. He got a reformed version of the Build Back Better Act, which was poorly named, passed, and he would have got the full thing pushed through if it wasn't for people like Manchin and fucking Sinema. Okay, and that was an incredibly progressive bill that he was pushing. I mean, we're talking about family care, free education, paid family leave, like all kinds of shit. If that would have went through, this country would be different today. And, like I said, as far as his foreign policy goes, not a big fan. I've said it before, Israel had the right to defend themselves on October 7th, and America as a whole had a obligation to be there for their ally, but everything that happened after the initial, support for them should not have happened. What's going on in Gaza is not acceptable. But Biden, for the most part, far exceeded those expectations, but that was only after me voting for him because I thought, well, at least he can't make the world worse after what Donald Trump did. So Mike is pretty much right there. $10. Fan trip. Thank you. $10. I'm really serious about this, folks. Really think about this. AOC could have been our president. She turned 35 before January 20th, 2025, so she could have been sworn in. This ageism needs to stop. Yeah, I agree. 100%. I don't that's another thing is Nana. I mean, I could go on for days, right? Chips and Science Act, PACT Act, bipartisan gun safety laws. I mean, like I said, the most exhausting part of the election series for me was arguing with people the same points over and over again. You know that I do nothing but praise Joe Biden's domestic policy. Anybody that shits on his domestic policy doesn't understand policy or has never looked into it and doesn't care and is literally just voting off of I think and I feel. If you want to debate foreign policy, we definitely have a more difficult argument or debate to be had there. But domestically, Joe Biden's policy was nothing short of fucking surprising. And it's probably the most progressive domestic policy that we've seen in fucking forever. Forever. He better... people on the right like AOC also. Yeah, well, apparently certain people that voted for Trump like AOC, which is fucking weird. Thanks for the $10,
I guess I'll
fan.
vote for the lesser of two evils because
I agree with you.
I don't want the fascists to win. I mean, we're never excited about this party. Democrats win because they're not Republicans. That's it. The reason why anyone votes for this party isn't because they're inspired by their message. Nobody knows what their message is. They just vote for Democrats to stop fascists from winning. It's the lesser of two evils again and again and again. That's it. But for the first time in my lifetime, perhaps, they're finally starting to understand how despised they are by people. Axios reports Democratic town halls across the country have been erupting into fury over Senate Democrats' decision to let a Republican spending bill pass rather than...
You know, the funny thing about this? Republicans are telling their people not to go out there because there's all these left-wing protesters. People like me and Mike are like, go out there, do town halls, and you should listen to how pissed off these people are at you for the shit you've done. That's the proper way to respond. You are a elected official. If you are dodging the people that are pissed off at you, whether or not you think they're crisis actors or whatever the fuck you want to claim they are, your job is to be there and hold those town halls. I have to give it to Chuck Grassley's old fucking ass. I can't believe I have to pay a compliment to Chuck Grassley. Chuck Grassley's old ass, like 107-year-old self was there listening to people, did a mildly okay job. But I think that's just because he's old. And for the most part, he just kept going, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, I understand, I hear you.
use it as leverage to constrain Doge. A senior House Democrat told Axios that a colleague called them after a town hall crying and said, they hate us. They hate us. Quote, among the things I got at a town hall were, will you call for Chuck Schumer to resign, the lawmaker said. Last week I got, you need to tell your leadership they had no right rebuking Democrats for being strong at Trump's speech to a joint session of Congress. Another thing I got was Democrats are too nice. Nice and civility doesn't work. Are you prepared for violence? To Representative Jimmy Gomez, who has faced the same left-wing primary challenger for 3 election cycles in a row, he says this crack-up has been a long time coming. Quote, the base has been pissed off for a while. Yes, we are, Jimmy. And I've got to say, the fact that they're crying, that fuels me. Their tears are the energy that I use to level up. Because Democrats have spent decades ignoring constituents, supporting genocide, chumming it up with corporate lobbyists and Wall Street executives and billionaires, voting with fascists, moving to the right election after election, yet they have the nerve to assume that people actually vote for them because they're loved? Excuse me? Listen, allow me to let you down, Democrats, as easy as I possibly can as a lifelong Democrat myself. I fucking hate you with every fiber of my being, and I think that I speak for a lot of Democratic Party voters. If you could harness the hatred that I've...
And like I said, the one thing I'll disagree with, and this is something that goes for everybody, when you're talking about anybody with a blanket statement, it doesn't mean everybody. There are plenty of Democrats that I think are actually doing the job that they should do. As I've said, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, Jamie Raskin. Like, there's plenty. Max Frost. Yeah, somebody said Max Frost earlier. I think there are plenty of Democrats that have actually been doing it. But you know the difference between them and the ones that aren't is these exact things that he's talking about. They're not chumming it up with corporations and getting their pockets filled by these billionaires. They're people that found their way into politics, found their voice mostly from the internet, from internet fame, and found themselves in a place where they can make a difference. So I will disagree. I do not hate every Democrat, but I do get the gist of what he's saying. And that is, most people have looked at the left. I argue with my Democratic friends all the time. They hate the idea that Democrats have not followed through on these certain important things. Even with Joe Biden, I was just giving Joe Biden praise. I'm going to give him criticism. With Joe Biden, he talked about raising the federal minimum wage to $15. Almost every Democrat that runs on raising the federal minimum wage knows that that will not happen. They know that even if they have a blue Congress and blue Senate, that they will not pass that legislation. And that's the reason that you get comments like this from Mike, that's the reason you get these guys going, I fucking hate you. That's why you have African Americans in our country that are completely disillusioned with the left wing, the Democrats. Because there are plenty of African Americans out there that have heard promise after promise after promise after promise, and all they've gotten is fucking wordplay. Just nothing but wind. And if you expected people that are being, whether you agree or not, oppressed, to be okay with minor victories because you're eating the elephant one bite at a time, but you never provide a major victory for those people, you're going to get this type of pushback. And if the left doesn't recognize that, like I said,
I feel in my heart for Democrats and convert it into energy, you'd be able to power all of North America's power grid for like a century. And I hate them because they're complicit with the rise of fascism.
I like that too.
Had they not let things get so bad, fascists would have never been able to win in the first place. People only vote for Democrats because they're less bad than the Republicans. That's it. And a lot of them know that, which is...
No, he ran on raising it to 15 was what he ran on. That's what I'm talking about. It's only for certain people. Recreational contractors. It doesn't like my fucking ad blocker. Oh, no shit. That's the one that Trump revoked. Oh my God, that's hilarious. You can't write this shit. God damn it. You couldn't have set that up better. Oh fuck. He raised it for federal contractors and then Trump revoked it. Okay. Yeah. When people say they want the federal minimum wage, they mean they want it to be the statute. They want the minimum wage across the country to be X and nothing can go lower than that. That's so funny. You heard that from Uncle Kyle the other day?
Is why they do the bare minimum, and they take advantage of the fact that we don't really have a lot of options with our two-party system.
That's not what they're asking for.
We're basically in an abusive relationship with them, and they know that we have nowhere else to go. And they use that to their advantage to be evil. But finally, the Democratic Party's base is demanding more, because after decades of incremental reform, they're realizing that things have gotten so bad, and people have become so desperate that they've become radicalized. That radicalization out of desperation is how Donald Trump won twice. So the base now seemingly understands that you have to harness that radicalism and respond to it with your own radical vision for the country. It's why 86,000 people at 3 events in red districts showed up to Bernie Sanders and AOC's Fight the Oligarchy tour, because they know now is not the time for the same status quo politics Democrats have been feeding us for so long. And I want to play a clip from one of those events, because what Bernie Sanders is trying to do is break down the Democratic Party and rebuild it in a new form, so that way it's powerful enough to take on fascists. And the way that he's trying to rebuild it is by getting regular people to take it over, to take back control from the millionaire incumbent Democrats who only care about their donors.
And then after she graduated college, she was a barista, working paycheck to paycheck. But what she did is she looked around her and in her community in Bronx, New York, she saw that change had to come. And so what she did is decided to run for Congress, and people said, what, are you kidding? The guy who represents the district was one of the most powerful members of Congress. He had access to unlimited kinds of money. How much money did you have when we started? You started? None. All right. But she did what real politics is about. Real politics is not sitting at $1 million fundraisers. It's working with people in your community. And she worked hard, and her friends worked hard, and she pulled off a major upset. And since then, she has been a great member of Congress, but not only that, she has been an inspiration to millions of young people all across this country. Now, the reason I say all of that is not just to praise Alexandria, and I love her, but is to tell you and the people of America that what Alexandria did, you can do. There are millions of young people out there who love this country, who are disgusted with what they are seeing, who are prepared to get involved in the political process.
Now, AOC was part of the first wave of Justice Democrats that got elected, and her victory was one of the first signs of discontent with the Democratic Party status quo. I think that the first sign was the success of Bernie Sanders' long shot 2016 campaign.
Yeah.
So this anger with the Democratic Party has been bubbling up for years now, and the party has done its best to contain that rage and keep a lid on it. But now it's starting to bubble up and spill over, and millions of their own voters are wondering why the party let things get so bad in the first place. What's the motivation? Why don't they want to do the bold things that progressive Democrats like Bernie and AOC want to do? And that brings us to this moment where insurgent challengers to incumbents are finally in a position to actually make a move. A lot of candidates that I interviewed years ago got almost no media coverage. But in just a single day, Kat got at least 8 articles written about her, which is another sign that the times might actually be changing for real this time. So even though taking over the Democratic Party has felt impossible at times because they've resisted said change so forcefully, things do feel different now. That doesn't mean that it's going to change, but I mean, the Democratic Party's base finally seems to understand that the antidote to fascism isn't milquetoast incrementalist neoliberalism. It is bold progressivism that is going to improve material conditions for working class people. Actual New Deal style politics where you fundamentally transform the country and you make the lives of working class people better. You empower them. You give them health care. You make it so that way they're not struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. You make it so that way they're thriving and not just surviving, as Kat put it. And the fact that candidates like Kat are launching with so much buzz, that might actually be another sign that the dam is about to break and wash away the old guard that's managed to suppress progressive momentum for nearly a decade now. But I promise you, leadership isn't just going to stand back and do nothing as a Tea Party-like movement emerges and threatens their hegemony and power. They're going to try to stop it and suppress it like they always do. That's inevitable. The question now is whether or not the base has become powerful enough to overthrow them, overthrow the tyrants who are keeping the party in this shitty state where it's at record low approval. And it looks like we're going to find out soon. It's not a guarantee, but I think that if ever there was a time for change to happen, now is that time.
Yeah. You know, like I said, we all agree on so much shit, man. And I'm not even just talking about the left. I'm talking class to class. I started this fucking video today by saying it's not about disabled people versus the rest of us. It ain't about gay versus straight. It ain't about black versus white. It ain't about man versus woman. You know, what it's about is class. It's not a culture war. It's a class war. And at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck where you're from. Yeah, if you're trans and want to take my daughter's rights or my wife's rights or my loved one's rights, you're going to get to smoke. If you're gay and you want to take my, you know, the people I love's rights, you're going to get to smoke. If you're a white dude, a black dude, a Mexican, whatever the fuck you are, you're going to get to smoke. That's the way it works. I don't give a shit. You're in a wheelchair, you get to smoke. It's about class. It's not about culture. So I think everything he's saying right there just like, you know, really just speaks to how many of us still agree that billionaires are bad. They're immoral. It's not good for society. We don't need them placing a yoke on our necks and sending us out there to be their proletariat. It's bad enough with what we had. We ain't trying to make it worse. So I think it is. Like you said, it's up to the base. The base has to speak, and it has to speak in volume. And when people say things like that their vote doesn't matter, you only need to look over at the other side of the aisle and see people like Lauren Boebert, MTG, Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth. And you can see that their vote mattered. They got what they want. So you better use yours or no. Your vote don't matter. Okay. Oh, thank you. $10, 5 Alarm. $10. Your earlier post was meant to be a super chat but didn't go through. Is it this one that says... A person that has served or has a son or daughter in military service should be a requirement for Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. There needs to be personal connection to their decisions. If it's that one, 100%. That's what we used to stand for. You know, there's many military commanders in our history that became presidents. And even though some of them I might not agree with politically, most of them, the majority of them, did care about America. You know, like I've said before, one of the things I learned in Clay Risen's book about Eisenhower, or actually I don't think it was in the book about Eisenhower. I think I was in reading other things about Eisenhower to do the research, was that he actually expanded portions of the New Deal because he cared about country, because he cared about people, because he had an attachment through the military. I don't think that it should have to be a requirement, but I think that you should have something that necessitates that attachment, right? Like you should have some reason that's verifiable that it's not just you want to be popular, not you just want the power, not you just want to be famous, not you just want the benefits or whatever. It needs to be more than that. And yeah, the military is one way to establish that for sure. I'm sure we could think of a couple things. Oh. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Good to know history. Yeah, exactly. Eh? History is important, man. Yeah. Truman, Eisenhower, Grant. Yep. U.S. Grant, one of my favorites. Much maligned U.S. Grant, but over the last 50 years, people have definitely turned the corner on understanding why Grant was such a good president. He had some affiliations that potentially led to some shady deals being done, but Grant was always a military man and did not know how to really rein in the people around him that were running amok. So everybody's got flaws. Overall, Ulysses S. Grant was an incredibly important president of the United States of America. I mean, the Ku Klux Klan would be 10 times what it is today if it wasn't for people like Sherman and Grant. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for being here. Do I think that MAGA is going to try to put Ivanka in the presidential position in 28? If there's anybody that could run, it'd be Ivanka. Don Jr. is an idiot. Eric is an idiot. Barron, obviously not old enough. If they're going to try anybody, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But so here's the thing with that. I don't think Republicans have tolerated Trump as long as Trump can run, right? If Trump can't run for a third term, they're not going to tolerate Trump anymore. They're going to most likely push for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance will most likely be the next Republican candidate, and that's regardless of whether or not Trump tries to like push him around or not. The only like wild card there is whether or not Elon Musk is willing to back J.D. Vance, which he would. So Elon Musk didn't want to back Trump. He ended up having to back Trump, right? Elon Musk has connections through Peter Thiel to Curtis Yarvin and J.D. Vance. So I would say in 2028, J.D. Vance will be ran. Donald Trump will get his feelings hurt if he's not allowed to run for a third term. If he's allowed to run for a third term, which is fucking crazy as it sounds, a possibility at this time, I think J.D. Vance runs in 2028. All right, guys. I got to go. No, hold on. I can't go yet because T-Roy, you say it's bait for the left, but here's the thing about Trump. Trump makes jokes as bait for the left, okay? But when people around Trump make his jokes reality, Trump takes them up. So the reason that I still say that it's a possibility is because if somebody around him figures out a way to make it possible, Trump will run for a third term. 100%. He will. Because that's how Donald Trump does every one of these things. He has a history of making jokes, saying just trolling, just baiting, but if it happened, it happened. So it's all dependent on the people around him. All right, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to everybody that donated today. You guys have no fucking idea. There's no time that I ever come on here expecting anything from you guys. I expect this to be me giving to you, and I appreciate fucking everything you guys do for me. And, you know, it does help me to explain why I'm down here sometimes for so long. It's helpful, but it's not why I do it. But I am super fucking thankful to every one of you that give memberships, that super chat, and that support the channel. So I can't say thank you enough. Thank you so much. Next live will be Saturday at 5. And then Monday we will have the interview with Ronald on COVID wars. That will be released the following Friday. In between then, YouTube has hated me ever since I put out the Donald Trump sucking Elon Musk toes video. I think I got maybe a little bit of a limiter on my content, because ever since then the video's not doing great, not reaching a lot of people. YouTube didn't like that shit. So if you could go watch my videos and give them a like, a comment, and subscribe when you guys have a chance, when you guys got downtime, I'd really fucking appreciate that from you guys. So if you could just kind of give it a share or something. Fucking, I knew I shouldn't have made that video, but it was so worth it. It was so worth it. The like couple hours it was up. Fucking gold. All right, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I hope to see you next Saturday.